3 months. I'm so sorry I didn't stream yesterday, you guys. I missed you, but I was making sure that all the prep for the stream was good and fucking done. How are you? Hi. Wait, you weren't streaming yesterday? No, I had to cancel because I had a lot of prep work to do for this stream in particular.
Hey Lily YY.
Hi, thanks so much for the sub. Thank you. Always a perfectionist. There's like 50 bitches that I need to do today. Hi.
On behalf of the Pokemisu D&G group, thank for your diligence and once again expanding the lore of this beloved franchise in such a unique way. We're in campaign 2 taking place in Johto and quite enjoying ourselves once more.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the super chat. That's super sweet. I'm glad you guys are having fun. Oh, like also disclaimer, I'm not going to go into lore today. I'm mainly going to talk about the design process more than anything else, because if we go into lore, we're going to be here for 10 years. And that's not as fun to watch. For the lore, I have the big Dex images that are in the Dropbox. I promise that as soon as I'm done with these videos, I will add them back on to my Twitter and the Discord server and the Dropbox. But for now, you gotta make these fucking things. Hi! 10-year stream. Wilson will cry. Not really, no. Wilson agreed with me. Wilson, look, Wilson is smart and he's fucking content-brained. And he knows that reading lore isn't stream content. Do you remember the 21st night of September? I do! Thank you very much for the channel membership. Thank you, Shadow. Will you be posting all the new ones on Twitter too? Yes, once the videos are up. I'm not going to spoil the surprise on those until the videos are all up. And I'm thinking of if I should upload these, because this is going to be 2 streams. This can't be 1 stream because there's 100 of these. So I was thinking if I should make 2 videos or just the 1. This, the Pokemisu project for YouTube is a bit of a logistical nightmare because there's so many of them. And I only have time to do about 30 to 50 characters per stream. What have you learned the lore in your Valley Girl accent? Very funny, but not necessary. It's been a while since we got any updates on Pokemisu. So today we're going to be doing the first 50. I know that a lot of people have already seen those, but a lot of people have not, especially on YouTube. So we're going to do the first 50 today, and the second half, the one that has the ones you guys haven't seen, next weekend. Because I still need to prep another fucking giant... You'll see what I prep for this. It's a giant fucking thing, logistical nightmare. But the point is that I'm going to be going through the project from start to finish for this gen. Do you finally do them? No, Gen 2 does not need any redos. Gen 1 does, and I will be putting my best foot forward to make sure the Gen 1 video can be done relatively soon as well. Yeah, this is Gen 2 only. Gen 1 is going to require some work still.
What is this? 30 months of a pink thing. My, how the time flies. I hope one day to have my own pink thing in my life.
Thanks so much for the sub, Nim! If you got the plushie, you will. So right now, I'm gonna chill for a little bit, breathe. I got some G-subs, finally tried Bowelberry. It is aggressively berry. From my other JoJo cup, which is for Jolene. It's not as gay as the Jonathan and Dio ones, sadly, but I still like it. So like 3 Sundays? No, 2. With luck, I will do it in 2 streams. If we go a little bit long, it's gonna have to be 3. Bro has all the flavors. Give me. I have a lot of them. Yes, I do. There's very few flavors I haven't tried. But that way I can tell you guys which ones are the best. If you guys want to get sub, using code KIKIMATION for 10% off, baby! Aggressively berry sounds about right for Bow. Yeah, I mean, it's like a blackberry candy. That's how, and it's aggressively purple. Like, I was expecting it to be blue because hello, Bow, but it's super purple. G-subs tier list when? Should I make one? When I try all of them, I will. I'll ask Eddie to get me, like, a format. I have Joseph and Caesar, so super gay. Oh, you have the gayest one! Did the Pokemon stuff take inspiration from Monster Girl Encyclopedia? In part, yes. Hi! I ordered chug juice flavor using code Gigamation. The berry citrus flavor sounds up my alley. If you like berry citrus, BBL is for you. Hi! Will the naughty bits that accompany Musus be posted elsewhere, like Twitter, Blue Sky, etc.? The ones that already exist, yes, but I did stop doing lewds for the last 10, mainly because of time constraints. And I was thinking about it, and the lewds were originally there as a side piece. The main bulk of the project is the Safe for Work biddies, so that's what I will be posting. That's what I will be focusing on. At the end of the day, the Pokemusu project was meant to be a character design exercise, not so much an avenue for the goon.
Hey Lily, I'm looking forward to having my very own pink thing.
Yay! Thanks so much for the super chat. They're in production. They should start shipping out soon, I hope. I got like 4 more. Gooning was a bonus, yes. Is Pom Pom Punch good? I saw Gloomy Bear and I wanted to get it, but I wasn't sure if it was good. It's very good. Like, I have it caffeinated it, so I haven't been able to have it for a hot minute, but it is very nice. It's a very strong, like, pomegranate-y flavor. That one is one of the ones that I usually only have like 1 serving at a time, even in my tumbler, because it's a strong flavor. I know we won't see her this stream, but I'm super excited for Tyranitar. It's on my top 10 Pokemon. Yeah, you'll see the new ones next week. I just thought it would be good to go over the whole thing start to finish, so we can make like either 1 big video or 2 videos. And then the video that people can use to play Smash or Pass will also come after those videos are posted. That one won't have me speaking or chat or anything. It's just gonna be like, almost like a slideshow of every Musu in the gen with some cool music. I don't know if you guys already heard some of my Pokemon remixes. And people will be able to react to that. I can use that to bring other people on. I already have a few potential guests that can come play Smash or Pass with me. And it's gonna be really, really fun. That battle theme was goated. Thank you. I have an amazing musician.
Very nice.
Thank you very much for the sub, Halo. I got a goated musician from Mexico also, who's been helping me make really cool remixes. They've made some music for the channel also, and I was like, hey, do you want a challenge? And they were like, yeah, sure, bet. And I was like, I need some remixes of Gen 2 tracks. Can you do it? He sent me one in a day. He's one of those people that like live glued to their desk, so if he's like making music, I won't hear from him for like 12 hours, and then he'll send me a track. Yeah, I had those made because I was concerned that we might get ganked for the music, but these are remixes, so they should be more than viable for this entire thing. Not happening, but fingers crossed for Silver Smash for Pass. So I could ask her. I think she's really busy lately, though, because she's gonna go to, like, TwitchCon and she has a billion stuff to do, like... You up Poke Music? I bet. Yeah, I literally was like, hey, are you up for making some remixes of Gen 2 tracks? I showed him some of the Musus, and he was like, did you make this? And I was like, yeah. He has no idea who I am. And he was like, oh, that's dope. And I was like, yeah, can you help me make some music? And he was like, yes! It's the 21st day of the month of September, so remember this. They may offer you fortune and fame, love and money, and instant acclaim, but whatever they offer you, don't feed the things! Happy Little Shop of Horrors Day, everybody. Happy Little Shop of Horrors! Give them food. Alright, buttfucks. Let us begin. Now, a quick introduction to the project, if you will, because not everybody here knows what it's about. So... as you guys all know, I played my very first Pokemon game when I was like 27 years old. I wasn't a kid because my mom didn't let me play Pokemon when I was little because she thought it was Satan. And while I was playing the game, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the Pokemon designs. I thought they were super fucking cute. I wanted like a billion of them. And then it was around that time that I was trying to experiment more with character design, and I had an idea. And the idea was, what if I take this Pokemon and I turn it into a monster girl in my own art style? Now, this project has a few rules that I tried my very, very best to stick with whenever I make a new one. The first rule is, always respect the silhouette. If you can't tell what the Pokemon is at a glance, I did it wrong. If you can't tell what the Pokemon is without it being in a specific pose, though, I also did it wrong. The second rule is respect the shape and respect the vibe. Cool, thanks so much for the channel membership. So, respect the shape and respect the vibe, right? So if the Pokemon is a frog, the Musu has to be a frog. No exceptions. If they have weird stuff like no arms or silly faces or like fins and pointy bits and shit, I have to try and respect that to the best of my ability. That was my main design challenge with this project. I have to be able to do this enough so people can tell what Pokemon it's based on without the name or the actual Pokemon being on screen. Let me tell you guys that it has been a challenge thus far, but I think I have risen to the occasion. So, I already have Gen 1 under my belt, but unfortunately, the older designs need some work, so we can't do Gen 1 today. However, I finished Gen 2 recently, and I thought, what better way to show you guys a little bit into the method behind the madness than to actually show off the designs on stream, live, so you guys can see the Pokemon, and then what I did, and why. And I thought that would be more fun than just like, you know, putting everything on the Dropbox and being done with it. So with that in mind, and those rules, let's go through Gen 2. Another key thing about this project that I forgot real quick, all of these are fantasy. I did not want these to be in a modern day setting at all. I wanted them to be fantastic because it's Monster Girls, and I also did not want to tie it to the actual Pokemon games at all. So like the main thing is, in this gen specifically, so for this gen, the main things to know is this is going to be fantasy, but it's going to be Fantasy Japan. Now, I do know, I am aware that a big chunk of the Pokemon regions are based off Japan. However, Johto is the one that has the strongest Japanese aesthetic, mainly because of the towers, the kimono girls, the music. For me, Gen 2, when I was sitting down to conceptualize what would this region look like in the Musu version, was I needed to be aggressively Japanese and fantasy Japanese. Thank you for the sub. This came with its very own share of challenges, which I will talk about as we go through the Pokemon, but that's the gist of it. Every Musu gen is fantasy. Different regions, different aesthetics, but always fantasy. Always. And with that, we can begin. It's unavoidable Japanese. Yes, it is. So we begin with the bean. Chikorita. I love this thing because it's basically a lima bean with eyes. That's it. Its smug aura mocks you. It's super cute. It's a teeny tiny little baby dinosaur with a fucking leaf on its head. Germinating seed. Super cute. Now, based off this little fucker, I made this. Cute but useless. Hey, don't give them shit! This is what I made. This is the Chikorita Pokemusu. It's the Leaf Pokemusu 152. I've given you guys a little like summary of the lore on the side if you guys want to read it. But what I wanted to do with this one, when I sat down to think about like, okay, what could I do with this bean? The first challenge presented itself in the form of, do I want to make a centaur or not? And I thought about it and my brain went, no, because Chikorita are super compressed. The second challenge was, what can I do with it? And one of the big things about it on the decks is that their flower buds smell nice. So I was like, okay, let's make something like a healer. Like, I wanted to make a Miko, like a temple maiden aesthetic, but not quite that, like, strict. I wanted it to be more playful. I wanted it to be a little bit cuter. So, like, it almost resembles an idol outfit in a way. But the main thing I wanted was to show off that these were, like, just happy, curious little beans that, like, work with sense, right? So when I was making the outfit, I opted to not go with the traditional red and white because red is such an aggressive color. And especially on a green creature, I think it would have contrasted way too harsh. So I went with like softer, earthier tones. I put their seeds on their hips besides their necks so they would be more noticeable. I made the leaf gigantic because I think that that would be like the very, very best way to show off that that's like the central part of the Musu. I also gave them dinosaur feet instead of normal feet because no centaur, but I do like the feet. Little tails. And for the most part, I kept the outfit fairly light on details. I just added some repetition on the forms of flower buds on the ribbons. That are also the buds that are on her neck and her hips. So it's a balanced design overall. See, buds on the neck, very, very subtle. So I was like, okay, I need these to show off more. We're putting them on the hips as well. And she also has a Whittle baby tail. So this outfit is giving Temple Shrine Maiden, but a lot more casual than the ones that you would traditionally see in Japanese media, because I wanted them to be a little bit more casual than actual like Shrine Maidens. And that is 152. Let's move on. Next we have Bayleaf. Dinosaur. With a fucking can opener leaf on its forehead. It's super cute. The buds are bigger. The head is still empty. There's nothing in there. But it's a little bit more shapely. It's not a bean anymore. Based off that, I made this. The Bayleaf Musu. These evolve from Chikorita if they are exceptionally brave and help out a lot of people. Now, when I was working with Bayleaf, I noticed immediately that they had much softer colors than Chikorita. They went yellow as opposed to green, so I wanted to work with a little bit of a softer color scheme. Not so much earthy, a little bit pinker, a little bit more sweet. They still retain that, like, Shrine Maiden aesthetic, but it's a little bit more elaborate, right? We have a lot more hair accessories, fucking seeds everywhere. The buds on the hips and on the neck are a lot more present. I did not want to cover her hips because I wanted to show them, right? That's why the dress is open. I added some more ornamental, almost like blooming flower details to the whole outfit. And I also gave them those little paper, almost paper fans that a lot of Shrine Maidens have. These are dead-ass healers. These can actually manipulate scents. So with that in mind, I wanted to give them a very nice soft silhouette, but that was still a little bit more complicated than Chikorita's. I genuinely love how this one turned out, especially the colors. It's just so soft and soothing, and it looks like a fruit. Incredibly looks like a fruit. Then we're going to the big mama jama of the Gen 2 grass type starters, Meganium. Now, Meganium is actually a pretty cool design for a mon in the sense that it's basically a blooming flower, right? You have the petals around its neck, and then you have the antenna, which are kind of like the pistil. It's a really easy concept to work with. The good thing about these evolutions is that you just go, this one, but bigger. So based off knowing the fact that it's a little flowery dinosaur, I made this. The first thing I wanted with Meganium was to convey the fact that she's bigger. So I made her decently large. She is one of like all third evolution starters are big, but like with Meganium, I wanted mommy. These are like the uber healers. If you come to a Meganium and you have like a Noroi on your ass, you're cursed, you're sick, you're like coughing up blood, she will like wave her magic scent wand or whatever and you will feel all better. Color-wise, I stripped a lot of color off of this because I wanted to go for purity, for healing. So white is a very often color to use this. I needed it to be very, very crisp and very, very clean. And I also really wanted to show off the flowers around her neck and around her hips. I made the ones on her hips a part of her kimono. You will be seeing so many kimonos today, by the way. And I also wanted blooms to be a constant design element for this one. I no longer wanted to go with seeds because, again, this is just very, very bloom. So in order to not make the color design too harsh and to kind of like give off that healer vibe, I went with white for everything. A lot of like wrap bandage details, the paper fan details are in her hair now, and she's just supposed to be like a very nice, soothing presence. So I kept the pose very open and I kept the hair shapes very soft. So like the character's sense of flow would be more nurturing and a lot more friend-shaped than any other Musu in this evolution line. Kimono, so many. There's gonna be, you guys are gonna be sick of them by the time that we're done, okay? I also added a little hood for her, which resembles the traditional wedding headdress in Japan. Again, because you can bond with all of these, like that's part of the fun. but I wanted to kind of like be like, oh, mother, okay? She would smother you, yes. She's very soft. And she looks very soft. And that was part of the challenge for her. What do you guys think of the first starter line? I definitely liked working with these. It was genuinely like super fun to make the first line because it was like, oh, it's a tiny baby dinosaur and then it's big mama dinosaur, right? Usually with the starters, I tend to like show that progression from like normal woman to uber milf always. Let's move on to the fire starters, I believe. We begin with this bitch. Cyndaquil, indeed. Fire mouse dipshit. I love this thing because it looks hella anxious and it always spurts fire from its back. And I think that, you know what? I would do this to get away from my problems. Based off that unhinged looking rat, I made this. Ba-ba-ba-bam! So this is the Cyndaquil Musu. The main thing you guys will notice is body language. I wanted her nervous. I wanted this one to constantly look like she was losing her shit. So, fun fact about all of the fucking fire starter lines, all these outfits are basically backless because they have like no control over flames, but this is the most dress that this one has. I wanted these to be low-key wannabe warrior, so there's a bit of a samurai aesthetic going on here. Plated armor, some poofy pants, but not a lot. Like, they're not big fighters, they're anxious, right? They run away from everything. Their armor is not for fighting, it's for protection. And you can immediately tell that she's super nervous. I am really, really glad that it has such a, like, clean color scheme overall because I was able to preserve that, like, really, really, like, vivid green and use a lot of, like, earthy orange tones to show off that fire, but still contrast it with the hair really, really nicely. I did a lot of armor details for these. I don't know if you guys can tell. Just bandages, no shoes. Also has little weird feet. And for the most part, I just wanted her to look apprehensive and curled in on herself and, like, soft. Really, really, really soft. She has the classic Japanese dot eyebrows, yes. They have no control over this fire, so it just explodes whenever. And this is one of the ones that looks super Asian. Alright. Cyndaquil has tiny nubs for feet. Yeah, I wanted to preserve the feet while also still giving them human hands. We move on to Quilava, I believe. If I get any of these names wrong, no, I didn't. Quilava is more of like an evolved fire weasel. It seems more confident, it actually has ears, and the fire is coming out of its ass. And its head, not its back. So different placement. It did the evolution thing of, oh, it stood up. Dun dun, that's it, but super cute. And based off that, I made this. It actually has arms. Yeah, it does not walk on all fours. Now, this line of Musu has sexy armor. And the reason it has sexy armor, and I read into it on the desk, this is not magical or spiritual fire. This is dead-ass flames. So I was met with the design challenge of how the fuck do I make these wear anything? Because they would just set it on fire, all right? So the solution for this one was simple, sexy armor, all right? I wanted to show off that they burn everything, so I made the clothes singed on the back. Like, the back is falling off. Those underoos are hanging on for dear life, okay? The only parts of these outfits that are still alive is the plate armor because it's made out of metal. Because the rest of the clothes they have, they don't survive very long. They have much stronger fire than fucking Cyndaquil, but the downside to that is the fact that everything they wear gets evaporated. They're much braver than Cyndaquil, so they will literally rush into battle. They just have more armor because it's like the only types of clothes they can wear. I kept it very fiery in the color scheme, but not as bright as the flames. I really did not want to fuck with the saturation for this, especially on the outfit. I wanted red, but I did not want bright asshole red because the fire already does that for me. Also, I needed the hair and face to be a standout. So I kept it more desaturated and a lot less, but a lot less on the earthy side and more on like the actual, you know, red side. Very, very fun. You see a lot of ass with the Cyndaquil line because, again, they burn everything. It's actual fire. And they can't cover it completely anyway because they use that fire to attack. Like, that's what they fight with. Smash at your own risk, I would say. I managed to keep all the face patterns as well, and this one actually has ears. You'll notice quickly that if a Musu has patterns, I do try to add them. You can see these better in the concept art, for which I might bring some of these up, if need be.
I'm a fire starter. Twisted fire starter.
I'm probably going to ask Wave to put these in the edited video because I did draw them naked. Even though they don't show any bits and bobs, I don't want to risk it with YouTube. But you'll see if I show concept art that I do try and respect the Pokemon's patterns to the best of my ability. Lily, how much for fire resistance potions? Bro, it's not worth it! It's not worth it! I mean, you could. Technically, you could. But I would save those potions for Typhlosion. Yes, it is! Danger! Okay, so Typhlosion is... whatever the fuck this is. What is it? What the fuck is it?
Spicy capsaicin farts. Spoon at your own risk.
She will literally set you on fire. I don't know what Typhlosion is. All I know is that it's standing upright, it has a hell of a lot of teeth, its neck is on fire, and it still respects the same patterns. It's pointy, it's intense. So I had to take that intensity into the actual Musu. Let's see how I did. When I say I made everyone in this gen, I mean it, mama. Ba 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 ba! Boobs! So, Typhlosion, immediately at the onset, I was like, oh, she can't wear anything. Big design challenge for her was making her armor that was like somewhat functional, but still looked cool. So I kind of threw the clothes out the window for this. They will melt anything. Their fire is so much more hotter than any of the other ones in this line. Their whole body can heat up and literally explode. Their sweat can explode. They're like Bakugo, all right? They sometimes coat the sword with it and go, meh. So I wanted to show their weapon because I want to kind of like show what they do with it. They're mercenaries, they're guards. So I wanted to give them armor that was way flashier. You will notice that I notched the saturation way up, and that I actually kept a lot of the intensity of the original Pokemon. I made headdress pointy. I made the fire really, really pointy. Tail pointy. There's pointy shapes everywhere. There's a lot of chaos in this one, but I still think I managed to preserve a really decent sense of flow. I wanted to kind of rough around the edges. That's why I added chains. I added metal everywhere. Even at the fucking coochie, because if that fucking black bodysuit burns off, yeah, look at the chain details. It's not coming off. It's not coming off. She also has abs. That fucking, constructing this outfit was basically look at that lickum. Constructing this outfit was basically an exercise in how do I make a chain bikini, all right, chat? Because I needed to, because like I was like, ooh, if she sets herself on fire, that like black bodysuit won't last at all. So I had to make an actual metal bikini. I actually had to think about the construction of this thing and how it would stay on her body.
Lord, give me strength, for I have mighty needs.
Again, you shouldn't do it. It's risky, but you know what? Fuck it. I also did manage to keep the patterns on the Musu as well. You can see them more with Typhlosion because she's more naked. So you can see the one on her face, the one on her hips. They have like their little tail on the back. And they also still have, very important, rat feet. They have rat feet. I'm never getting rid of those. Ears are a little bit hidden behind the hairdress, but they're still there. And I also really wanted to preserve the teeth. Teeth are right, like, ears are right here. Look at the little baby teeth. Very, very intense eye shape as well. I needed her to be, like, super strong and imposing and pointy. And I had a lot of fun with this line because the fucking design challenge of how do I make someone who can't wear clothes actually wear clothes was a definitely fun one. All right. I honestly, like, she's gorgeous. She can bite me teeth. She has fangs. Yeah. She can use those fangs on me. I think I would be more worried about the burn damage. I hope you guys save those potions of fire resistance, though. We move on to Water. Now, the water types for Gen 2 are, Totodile. Dopey fuck. It's so happy. It's so pleased with itself. It's so blue. It will bite your dick off. These things have a bite force that's comparable to actual gators. And you can tell that they're super bitey because mama teeth. But the thing that I like about them is that they're pretty colorful. Like really, really, really colorful. And I really wanted to preserve that. And on that note, I did this with them. Totodile. I made them blue. So when I was working on Totodile, I usually had, when a Pokemon has like a really, really weird skin tone, I usually have the dilemma of should I preserve it, right? And for this one, I decided I wanted them to be blue because the aesthetic I wanted to go for was Oni. And these are like swamp puppies. These do hang around with people, but they usually muzzle themselves just in case. And I wanted to keep their outfits very wild, very like... I did give them a swimsuit and some leg pieces there, but I wanted to give them like the fur-lined cloth, a little baby cloth pauldron here, some armor elements here and there as well. And I wanted to like really play up the water motif, so I put water drops in strategic places on the outfit. I like to play with repetition when I design outfits that are a little bit more complex. You won't see me do a lot of bits and bops, but when I do, I tend to use repetition because it's like my favorite way to actually hammer home a design. So I repeated the fur lining on the top and on the bottom. I kept the color scheme more or less neutral. Mainly because the Pokemon's already so bright, I didn't want to overwhelm the viewer with a lot of really bright colors, so I kept it pretty earthy. I think earthy is the way to describe a lot of these starters, so they're very, very colorful. I went with like an almost like blue-gray for the base suit, and then I kept it in like tame gold to match the light yellow on her skin, and ochre reds to match the red in her hair, without actually drowning out the character. She also does have the pattern, but it's right on the booba, so it's not very, very, very noticeable. She looks like she bit me and she knows I'm mad. They do bite. They do muzzle themselves when they hang out with people. These are what we like to call medium threat levels. Give Gator head pass. They're very cute though. A lot of people like they do like humans. Also, I wanted to preserve the feet, so a lot of these are gonna have super weird grippers. They only have 3 toes. Because look at the Totodile, it only has 3 toes. Sorry, not sorry. There's gonna be like a very few sexy feet. So if you're into feet, this project might not be for you because they're all super weird. She has TMT grippers. Yes, she does. So this is how we start the water line for Totodile. Let's continue. Are they all gonna have threat levels? I'm gonna try and put them in the final video if I can, but for this one, I didn't put them in. I will only mention them if it's like actually really, really important. So Croconaw is the second one. When I tell you guys that I hated designing some parts of this thing, because like, holy shit, that pattern. Croconaws look like little cavemen. They're cute. They're a lot pointier. The jaw is a lot like, whoa, bigger, more bitey, little bit more intense in design in general. Very cute. But let me show you guys the Musu and what design fucking challenges I had with this one. Very egg-shaped. Croconaw. So I wanted this line of Musus to be strong. I didn't want them to just be round and soft because the Pokemon gets like progressively more fucking built as the line goes on. So you guys can't see it, but under those clothes, in the concept art, Wave, could you put it in please? You can see the actual egg pattern, like the caveman pattern on it. I hated that. I hated designing that because I was like, how do I make this look good? Thankfully, I managed to make it pretty passable, but it gave me some trouble. Now, outfit-wise, I wanted to basically take the Totodile outfit and destroy it. These are loners. They live in swamps by themselves. They Shrek, okay? And they don't like humans as much. So I basically took the Totodile outfit and I fucking wrecked it, right? So instead of a shirt, I went with bandages. I took the fur lining from different parts of the outfit and I actually tied it around her neck, destroyed the gloves, destroyed the bottom part of like the suit as well, destroyed the foot pieces, and I wanted this to look a little bit wilder. So sometimes I gave him a club also. Sometimes stuff like that will come up that I will use a similar outfit for an evolution, but that's because I want to show progression, right? So the same repetition elements are still there, but I decided that for this one in particular, I needed to show how much wilder they are, like in contrast to Totodile, because they literally just be wilding it out there in the woods. The booba's only getting bigger. Yes, a lot of these evolution lines, I'm not gonna say they look older because all of these are over 18, but they do have like different body types. So if this one is strong, you should see fucking Feraligatr, because that one, Like, when I was starting this project, a big part of what I was thinking about was I wanted to make sure that I was using body types that fit the Pokemon, right? I didn't want to just make everyone look the same because some Pokemon have like a much more like, this is a tanky build. So I wanted a tanky woman, if that makes sense, right? It's part of preserving the vibe. If I can't preserve the vibe through shape alone, I have to play with body shape, with muscular tone, height, anything I can do to make this look like the Pokemon at a glance, I will do it. So don't expect all of these to be boo-boolicious just because it's me. All right, Feraligatr, let's go. Feraligatr is insanely cool, although it looks rather unhinged. Very much unhinged.
Do Croconaws talk in a Scottish accent when they tell you to get out of their swamp?
Some of them do, some of them bite. But yeah, for Feraligatr, I had a lot of fun because this one is much like Typhlosion, a very intense Pokemon, right? It's super pointy, there's plate everywhere, there's so many teeth. But the thing about Feraligatr is that they seem chill, they seem fun. So when I was designing the Musu, I took that into account. Let me give you guys... This specific artwork is so derpy. I was working off the ones from the game, that the 2D artwork from the game. And for that, I give you Big Swamp Mama. Feraligatrs are huge. Gigantic fucking things, all right? They are literally leaders of Totodile communities. They are rare. They're not easy to find.
Takahata's favorite.
Dude, like, I love this thing. Oh yeah, Taka does like this project. Like, I will say this, right? When I was working on Feraligatr, I thought to myself, we go bigger, we go home. I need her to be jacked. I need her to be an absolute fucking unit of a Pokemon, all right? And she won't be the only one. Feraligatr are a little bit more sophisticated than Croconaw. They're leaders, so they have more ornamentation. I gave them some dope headdresses with the same water like drop motif as all the other ones, but they look a lot more fancy. I gave back actual cloth. I didn't destroy the entirety of their outfit with some really cool... I wanted to do like dappled light on water, but since it's swampy, I went with like that yellow color because the yellow is still very much present, in the entirety of the design. I gave them a lot more hair because I thought that would look really, really, really cool. And I gave them like much bigger leg wear. I wanted to show off kind of like their segments and their plates everywhere. Like their knees are super weird. Still has 3 feet, but now there's a lot more claws. So I really wanted to play up the intensity. And I also wanted to make the colors more rich, especially on the reds, because I toned down the saturation for her hair so I could make the reds in the outfit more vivid. The main thing I wanted with Feraligatr was to show off someone that was large, in charge, but had a really, really good nature. I wanted her to feel like someone that would be fun to drink with. And she will get sloshed with you, and you might lose that contest. So I think that out of all of these, so far, so good, right? The entirety of the fucking starters for Gen 2 was a joy to work through. They were all super fun and uniquely challenging in their own ways. I think that for me, Feraligatr is a standout because I was finally getting into my stride with approaching different body types. We're moving on. The starters are done. We keep it going. Sentret! This Pokemon is me! This thing is anxiety personified. It's an egg with rabbit ears and a tail. It's standing at attention. It looks so soft, so fluffy. Good luck catching one. They're super anxious. Knowing that, though, I decided to turn anxiety personified into a waifu. Who looks like this! She's so soft and squishy. The main thing I needed for them, right? I wanted to really play up on them being lookouts. Because in their decks, they're lookouts. They're incredibly fucking anxious. They're always on the lookout for anything together. So when I was designing the outfit, I was like, I can't do a normal kimono for this. That would not work. So there's other Japanese outfits that have like little baby shorts and like the rolled up sleeves and shit. So I went with that, right? Again, I kept the colors fairly simple. These are peasants. They're not like royalty or anything like that. They have their calling conch because... Look, they have their conch to call if there's danger, but usually they scream so loud people hear them anyway. I also gave them their arm flappies so they could do the same thing that the actual Sentret does. They don't fly, but they kind of look like flying squirrels. I didn't want to neglect that. So they do have their arm flappies that they like pull up with their kimonos. Very simple leg wear. And the straw hat for when it's really, really sunny out. Cute little baby shorts. And the standout had to be their tails. It had to be, and this made designing their body quite tricky, it had to be really big. The tail had to be much bigger, almost as long as they are, because it needed to support their weight. So when I was drawing it, I was like, I need this to be huge. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. And I really, really like the peasant vibe I gave them with like their little collar conch. I did some really basic accents here just in red because it's like one of the most commonly used colors in like old school Japanese outfits. Does she have 2 sets of ears? No, all of these are pure Monster Girl. She has just the rabbit ones and that's it. And fun fact, they're almost always seen in pairs. So I think that this definitely feels like a Sentret, and I'm very happy with it. Under all that fur, the tail is jacked. Oh, that tail is pure muscle, yes. Emotional Super Buddy. They scream so loud, but they need their hats, and they need their binoculars, and they need their conch. They don't feel safe without any of this shit, so it was really, really important for me to include these props in the design. Ma'am, are you calling yourself a peasant? No, I'm calling myself anxious. Furret! Long fuck. Furret is so cute. It's one of those Pokemon that you see it and you really go, ah! I found them to be very, very charming to work with, because they're just like a long slinky of a thing that has like just rings on it and like cute little mustache and that's it. I've seen the memes, by the way. So yeah, Furret was super cute, very long, very adorable to work with. And based on the fact that they're diggers and they like to make tunnels for fun, they're like weasels, I decided to play into that when I actually designed the Musu, and I made this. So, funny thing to know about Furret, body language-wise, is that they don't like to stand up straight, ever. They prefer to either flat fuck on the ground or move around on all fours like a fucking goblin out of a horror movie. I wanted them to work with, like, their tunnel system, so they like to dig around. They like to dig up things. They're, like, almost like miners, right? And one of the things that I was dealing with when I was designing this character was like, ah, fuck, there's no mining hats in old-timey fantasy Japan. But then, I looked it up, and what they used to do was we used to have a headdress with fucking candles tied to it. And I thought that was so fucking funny, I decided to give them one. So they also have a very simple outfit, same color scheme as Sentret, but they don't cover as much skin. They spend so much time underground digging holes and just like using their equipment that like they don't want to like get outfits dirty. So their outfit is actually insanely simple. It's one of the most modern looking ones that there are in this gen, but I still think I managed through the use of other elements to keep it fantasy. With the headdress, bandages, the foot coverings, and just a lot of like old-timey fantasy tools, I do think I managed to convey the like old-timey fantasy Japan, even though the outfit is a lot more modern. Standout is also the tail. I needed it to be insanely long. And fun fact, in the concept art, I think I drew one being like a flat fuck just for shits and giggles. The reason their tools are so tiny, I'm glad that you ask, is because they use those up to dig up precious stones. They actually dig with their hands. They will literally go ba 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 like a dog at a park and make holes and hide in and out of them. And mess with people for fun. So like Furret, they look super cute, but they're kind of dipshits. A little bit. Also very flat-chested. I was like, this cannot be boobylicious. This has to be a more flat, petite, long body type, because otherwise it would not work. Can one of these destroy your house? Yes. But they keep them in check, though. Like, if you give them space to dig, they're very happy with it. So that was Furret. Owl! Hoothoot. I love Hoothoot. For the longest time, I had the misconception that they only have 1 foot, but no, they have 2. This design is perfection in its simplicity. Clockwork hands for eyebrows, big eyelashes, foot, round, friend shape. That's it. Owl baby. I love the owl baby. And I especially like what I came up with for the Musu. They don't have 1 foot. No, they have 2! If you guys... I was today years old when I found out that Hoothoot have 2 feet. They alternate. They hop between one and the other. I was like, oh, how am I gonna make una mierda manca? No, they have 2 feet. And the Musu looks like this. Isn't it cute? I wanted to make like an astrologer, like time sorcerer, right? So everything about the outfit points back to a clock. This hat, fun fact, is very common of like Japanese sorcerers of Eld. A lot of people who like was like temple priests and shit wore shit like this, but I had a lot of fun designing this outfit because I wanted to put clock elements everywhere. So there's a lot of like clock hands. I also made her eyes red because yes, it's off-putting. No, I don't care. The Pokemon has red eyes. I need to make her look as weird as possible. This one's also a harpy, no arms. So most of the work they do with their legs. But I want you guys to pay close attention to the outfit because I am especially smug about my use of repetition for this one, okay? Thank you for the follow, you guys. I used clock arrows for everything. From the top of the hat to the skirt to the actual staff she's carrying around, it looks like a watch hand, and that's on purpose. I also put her eyelashes, cogs, in different points of the outfit, so I could tie the eye patterns together with the rest of the vibe for the look, for the Musu, right? And since most of the work that this thing does is with its feet, I wanted the leg that was up because I needed to have her standing on one leg. It fits the actual silhouette of the fucking Pokemon to be just holding tools. The wings are also fairly small for a harpy. I don't think that this Musu could fly. I don't remember if I specifically wrote that down in the contest, but I don't think it can. So I wanted to be like, and also the back, you can't really see it. The back of the hat is also an arrow.
Love these designs. Can't wait until you get to Arceus.
Thank you! It's gonna be such a long time, but I'll do my best. So is the tempo music just clocks ticking? Yes. Yes, there's a lot of like clocks. It's like every single clock in Johto is fine-tuned and made by Hoothoot because they have like an uncanny sense to tell time. So they make all of them. They actually do have that type of magic.
Fun fact. In Nintendo Power Volume 134, Ken Sugimori, the man who designed this Pokemon, stated in an interview that Hoothoot is his favorite Pokemon because he had a pet bird as a child that would stand on one foot with such frequency that other people would think it only had one.
Gotta love a gag that's that old. Love that. So yeah, Hoothoot I'm very, very happy with. I went with really dark muted colors because owl nighttime. But other than that, I'm just really, really happy with the amount of cool repetition and like theme I managed to come up with for this one. Hi! Final Fantasy Time Mate, basically. Then we have Noctowl, right? This is Wilson's Mon. So Noctowl are funny because they lose that like ability to tell time, but they gain a lot more speed and agility. I really like this because it's just like an angry owl. It's just like a horned owl. That's it. They're like, it's not a Pokemon, it's an animal. This is just an owl. But knowing that, I give you guys the first ninja of the series. So when I was looking at Noctowl, there's a problem with Gen 2 that Wilson and I like to call Pokemon that just likes to hang out. Some Pokemon don't do anything. I love it when the dex gives me fucking shit to work with, but for the most part, some Pokemon don't fucking do shit, okay? They're just lounging around. So for Noctowl, I was like, okay, what could I have to work with? Nighttime, super fast, super stealthy. All right, assassin. They're able to move around night without making a sound. So fun fact, owls don't make noise when they fly. I actually use this IRL fact to make like a ninja assassin. Super serious, super stoic. And I wanted to show that. They're very emotionless. I managed to perfectly preserve the patterns. No eyebrows for them because I needed the horns to do most of the work. Much longer hair than Hoothoot. And their outfit is a lot more form-fitting. I still kept some traditional Japanese aesthetics like an obi and like a half shirt.
I remember joking about this Musu keeping track of time, and knowing exactly every minute that happens, even during bed activities with Hoothoot.
Oh yeah, Hoothoot know all the time.
Rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
Thank you very much for the super chat. But yeah, I kept those traditional Japanese aesthetics, but I also went more to the ninja route. So I gave them a bodysuit. I gave them some like daggers on their wings. They literally slice through people's throats just like through the air at night because no one can see them coming.
Isn't it iconic for being first anime shiny?
Oh, thanks so much for the super chat. So they do have like bird feet, like scaling. You can barely see it here, but I wanted to give them like the full bodysuit so they could like camouflage at night. They also have like talon accessories on their actual talons. I needed these to look deadly. I needed them to look intimidating as fuck because this is an assassin. You don't see a lot of Noctowl. They're kind of rare. And the main reason is because they're dead ass just night owls. They're never around during the day. But it was really, really fun to come up with like the first ninja of the gen because I really wanted like a specifically type of like emotionless assassin aesthetic for them. And I think I nailed it. While still very much making them feel like a bird. And yes, they can turn their heads around really, really far. Yes, it's creepy as shit. Guys, don't expect me to read Make Lily Say tonight because I'm just going to be talking all the way through.
Glad you went with darker tones rather than just black, as black is a terrible color to wear for stealth.
I always keep my color theory, like the Koroshiori is very important to me when I'm making stuff for this project. Working with straight black is a terrible idea, always. Any good artist will tell you that. Ladyba. Ladyba are super cute. I like ladybugs, fun fact. I've always enjoyed ladybugs, I thought they were really cute. And this is like the most stereotypical, like cartoony ladybug I've ever seen. I fell in love with it. And when it came to like actually making the Musu, I was like, all right, we have 6 appendages, let's get to work. This goofy little guy. It's really cute. And the Musu is even cuter. Look at this. So, Ladyba, I wanted to make them very, like, in tune with nature. Almost nature spirits in a way, but not quite. They're very non-verbal. They don't speak much. They can speak, but they'd rather not, because they'd rather commune with nature. And they have such a, like, nice, soft color scheme that I thought, what better flower to pair them with than Wisteria, right? It's a lighter shade of purple than the arms and legs. And I thought it would look really, really sweet in general to have them be, like, super flower-coated. I gave them some soft gold for accents, and the outfit in general is very, like, green and soft. The fun fact about the bug types, right, is that despite the fact that they have human faces, I made them segmented. They do look like bugs. They do act like bugs. In the concept art, I showed how I broke down the 4 arms coming out of its back. So they're not going to look human at all. Some people, when confronted by a bug type anything, would just give them an extra pair of arms and call it a day. I didn't want to do that. I want to actually give them segmented body parts, segmented, almost ball jointed, down to the fingers and down to the toes. After I did that though, I decided to dress them, and I like the segmentation and the way I designed the body so much that I kept the clothing very minimal. It's a deconstruction of a kimono with just a nice little green obi, a lot of flowers, and I actually added some flounces. Part of the project was also keeping in mind that while I do have to use traditional Japanese fashion, especially old Japanese fashion, to construct these outfits, I'm not above, and I do think that it's important to know when to use Western flair. Stuff like ruffles that you don't have in traditional Japanese clothing, because they're all cut in straight lines. I did add them, because I thought they added a little bit of romance and a little bit of, like, whimsy to this Pokemon in particular. God, I love bug girls. I love them too, and Ladyba turned out absolutely precious. If it doesn't have the joints, it's not a bug. I'm really glad you guys agree, because some people would just not at them.
Do we have 4 notable members of this species with names based on Renaissance artists?
No, I don't think this gen had any turtles. Thank you for the super chat. And then we have Ledian, right? Ledian was fun because the second I saw it, I was like, oh, this looks like a superhero, right? It has like a superhero mask and this little outfit, and it's a lot more sleek and way less round than Ladyba, right? Ledian is a little bit more aerodynamic in its shape. So I took that in mind when I was designing the Musu. Thankfully, it also has 4 arms, so I was like, you know what we can do with 4 arms? It looks like a stereotypical cool guy. No, they're super cute. You know what we can do with 4 arms, chat? 2 bow and arrow! So these fuckers are so cool, and they can see, like, in the night so well that they can shoot 2 bows at once! So for Ledian, I went with a more stereotypical archer outfit in mind. I gave them some booba protection, very important, some very light leather armor pieces here and there, but I also gave them clothing that prioritized mobility, right? So not quite the kimono. I still kept the Wisteria because they are an evolution, so I want to show some of the stuff that they used to have when they were Ladyba. They don't have normal eyes. Their eyes are super weird, so I kept the sclera in a different color, just made the hair longer, a darker shade of red, and I added a little bit more mystery to the equation, right? Because Ledian has a darker color scheme, so I wanted to preserve that. But I wanted the red to pop when it could, so I kept most of the color scheme almost at neutral tones. I kept it at dark blue.
Heavy Octopath War Master when it healed vibes.
Thank you for the super chat. Also kept the foot coverings very light as well. And I added just like cute little repeated elements here and there. The Wisteria still in the outfit and in the hair.
Ladian's design is actually based on the Super Sentai hero, Kamen Rider.
Yeah, actually I noticed that when I was doing some research. So I wanted to kind of keep that like hero vibe while still being in a fantasy aesthetic. They're usually the ones that are like the Night Watch. They take care of villages and like their fellow Ladyba sisters, so you don't see them as often, but they are around and they do defend. Also, still segmented, still ball jointed, still has very much buggy feet. The main thing to note was that I really wanted the red to pop here. That's why I use very dark colors. And I wanted to show that, like, they have a very specifically aerodynamic silhouette. So they're more sleek, they're a lot more slender, and they, in general, carry themselves with a lot more grace than Ladyba. She can shoot 2 balls at the same time. She's that good. I have to concur that the braid is great looking. Thank you. I loved her hairstyle for this. Better at flying? Much better. After Ledian, we go into the spiders that are not spiders because they don't have 4 legs. Fuck me. We go with Spinarak. I like these little things, but fun fact, they're not nice. The spider Pokemon are not nice at all. These are a weird mix between an Oni and a spider, too. So let me show you guys what I did. I don't care. No, no, no! These are the ones that you should not fuck with, chat! No, do not do it! But here's the Musu. Now, Spinarak, I had such a good time making this. Let me just move the Pokemon on the side. First of all, it's another one of those Musu that have a weird skin color because the Pokemon itself is a weird skin color. And I think if I made them with normal colored human skin, I might have lost some of that punch. The most fun fact about them was actually constructing the body. When I'm making centaurs, I always have to take great care to make sure that the human elements and the centaur elements are seamlessly blended together. So I had a lot of fun with this one. This one, the big deal with this is the silk. So I kept it everywhere in the design.
I'm surprised that I can't think of any other examples of multi-armed
Horrifyingly
characters
beautiful.
that use bows. It's always swords. Very creative.
Thank you. I figured that since they were flyers, they would just be able to shoot 2 at once. So with Spinarak, the silk was the main thing, right? Because they use it everywhere. They lay traps in the forest with the silk, and people run into them, and they get eaten. Spinarak are not nice at all. So their main thing is that they have like their threads that some people venture out to try and get, and I put them everywhere.
Ariados on those spider yokai, Jorogumo.
I did. I actually did keep a lot of yokai and old Japanese myth in mind when I was doing this. You'll notice that I still gave her red fangs, even on her face. She has red lipstick, but I kept the red fangs. The eyes are actually black sclera, white iris, which I think looks really, really off-putting. I wanted them to be emotionless, but at the same time, they make really beautiful clothing because their silk is very, very valuable. So they can sew things together. So I decided to give them very, like, pretty, mostly colorful outfits, despite the fact, and this is a design that has a lot of color. So you would think, Lily, why would you put so much color in this? Because I balanced it. If you want to use a design that has a lot of color, I always say balance it. So the green had to be the most heavy color here. And I also kept it very cool toned for that same reason. The main standout here is the fangs, especially on the body. So I made sure that those were like bright fucking red and also red on the Musu. It's not like the most complex clothes. It's a normal kimono, but I still really, really like what I did because I used a lot of patterns.
Musu in particular because she gives me Demon Slayer vibes. Beautiful, elegant, but also deadly.
That's actually a bit intentional because of their horn. They're not quite spiders. They're kind of like demon spiders. So yeah, even though it's a simple outfit, I really like what I did with all the webbing patterns. And all in all, I think it turned out great. And she looks like a bit of a dick. So now let's move on to the evolution, which is a real asshole. This is Ariados. This thing is a cunt. She's just misunderstood. No, this thing is a cunt. This thing will eat anything and everything that gets in its way, and it looks particularly aggressive and intense. It's pointy. So let me show you what I did with this actual monstrosity of a creature.
I had an idea for a Spider-Man Sona that was inspired
But
by
is she
this
hot?
Musu.
Well.
Called it Spinnerman but scrapped it cause I couldn't get the colors right.
It's a tricky color palette to work with. I don't blame you. Thank you very much for the super chat. So Ariados. I'm actually really proud of myself for this one. I could have just made any Spider-Woman. I could have just made like, oh, a Joraguma and called it a day. No! Because Lily's not here to fuck around. I wanted deadly elegance. Ariados are so fucking mean, you guys, that sometimes they will let prey go with one single string of silk attached to them so they can chase them down later and eat their entire family. They're not nice, and I did not want them to look nice. So I did take a little bit of a page out of Demon Slayer's book for this one, and I was inspired by Daki. Because I wanted her to look like basically a deadly princess. So I gave her a big kimono with a lot of layers. There's at least 2 layers in there. But I also used a bodysuit underneath. I kept the webbing pattern prevalent everywhere. And in this case, it's actually more obvious that there's webbing all over this thing. But I also wanted to use flowers, roses in particular with thorns. Something very pretty, but if you don't handle it carefully, it will hurt you. And Ariados will always hurt you. This thing is so fucking mean, you guys have no ideas. Very sharp teeth, kept those. Much pointier fangs on the fronts. Like, I added the pedipalps to the centaur because it's so important for a spider centaur to have them. That's actually where most spiders eat from, fun fact. They bite, liquefy, consume. So Ariados has incredibly pointy bits everywhere. Color scheme in particular, I kept it very cold, because I wanted the red to really pop in both the outfit and the spider's body and her makeup.
But Lily, I swear I can fix her. Also, I don't mind a bit of biting.
The only way you can get an Ariados partner is if you meet them as Spinarak and they like you. But it's a very, very low chance. This is one of the ones that I would say high threat level. It will kill you if it gets the chance. Don't give them that chance. Kimono-wise, I'm in love with the patterns that I did for this. They're all webbing. It's astoundingly fucking beautiful, if I do say so myself. I will be tooting my own horn quite a bit here, because I'm very proud of myself for this one.
Lily, you put the mouth parts at the you-know-what part. You didn't also give them, you know.
Oh, I did. There is a lewd for this one. They do have coochie. But don't worry, they don't actually use those pedipalps to kill you unless they actually want to do it. They're still fuckable. That was part of the challenge. But yeah, Ariados has like one of the more beautiful and very cruel designs that I actually came up with. I loved all the gold detailings that I did. I am very pleased with myself for this one. And I hope that you guys are too, but don't stick your dick in it. Do not do it. Do not. I swear to God, chat, don't do it. Quick gamer sub break so I can catch my breath. It's aggressively berry. I love it. Go get yours. gsupps.gg/geekimation, baby. Anyway. That was Ariados. First asshole of this gen. Every gen has a few. Fun fact. Not every Pokemon is nice. Will, anyway, chat, no. Nugget! No, fucking Nugget. Fun fact, this is the only Musu in this entire gen, including legendaries, that has 2 bits of concept art.
There are no laws against the Ariados girls, Lily.
Yes, there are. Because those things back there, yeah, that's not feet. It's a tail. This thing, I had to fucking suss out, these are its legs. The back wings are its legs. I had to suss out this thing's anatomy so bad that it has 2 pieces of concept art, which included me being viscerally uncomfortable because I couldn't figure out how to fucking set up the skeleton. This one gave me trouble, but I am pleased to say I actually managed it. So with Crobat, I decided to give it the back legs with wings, but I decided to do it in such a way that they fly basically in an almost crouched position. They can stretch their legs out. That's like the back of the foot. Like if you look at an animal's leg, they have like their knee and then the back of the leg and then the foot is very, very long. That's where the wings are.
Crobat's always been my favorite flying type.
They only spread the leggy to change directions when they're flying. So Crobat are another ninja in this one, but they're different than most because they only serve one person. With Noctowl, you can hire them. Crobat only serve one master that they love and that they also drink blood from or they will die. So when I was designing this one, I was like, I need to keep this simple because I really want to show off that body because I struggled to make that body. So I kept them very much akin to the type of outfit that Tengen's wives wear. So a very open kimono in the front. I added mesh. I added a lot of bat details, at least 2. I gave them weapons attached to their little baby wings and to their wings on their feet as well. And just heavy wrapped bandages on the legs, just for structure and support so they can actually have like better, they can actually not hurt themselves while they're in midair, you know? Yeah, very, very loyal. These evolved through something that Wilson came up with that he called the Ardent Shift, which is another way to say is something that doesn't evolve through levels. It's the equivalent of the friendship evolution in the game. There's different ways to trigger it. In the lore, it's just a strong emotion of any type. So yeah, this one I kept the outfit incredibly simple. Wanted to be mostly dark. One really bright red accent because it has red on the eyes. Fishnets everywhere. It's a modern concession, but I granted it. And really, really strong leg wraps that could help her basically maintain structure and keep her legs safe while she was in midair. The mouth moved up. Yes, it did, and it's not open anymore. It's not super open anymore. I'm very happy with it, despite the 2 bits of concept art and the amount of almost crying that I did for it. This one's Chinchou. This one was funny. They're so cute. They're like water electrics, which by itself, it's a fucking paradox. I don't get how these work. But look at how friend-shaped it is! Head empty, no thoughts. I love the eyes on this thing, so I immediately wanted to keep those. I like baby. Keeping in fact that it has like an anglerfish kind of like vibe, I decided to do something. I decided to do this with the actual Musu. Look at it! So the first thing I did with them is that I made sure that the antennae were coming out the back, not the top of their head, because I tried it on the top of the head and the whole design lost balance. So does it have legs? It does! It has flippers. This Pokemon actually does have legs. It's technically amphibious, because this one has legs on the back, see? So the main thing I wanted with them was to keep the design balanced, because if you put them on the top of the head, it would lose that, like, silhouette. Which is fine. The Pokemon has them on the back, too. Kimono-wise, super simple. Short, big obi, really big detached sleeves. Because they don't have hands. They have flippers. They don't have thingies. They have flippers. They have, like, really long, stretched-out flippies. Can they grab things with them? Yes, but not very well. They kind of have to, like, seal their way through life. Color-wise, their blue's pretty bright, so I wanted to really tone down the outfit. I kept it almost black. But I wanted to give it gold accents because of the eyes. So the eyes are really, 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 really bright. And I wanted to give their accessories a nice little gold flare as well. But I made the gold a lot warmer than the yellow tone for their eyes because I still needed that to pop a bit more. A lot of like water type repetition. You'll see me use the water droplet design a lot for water types. I kind of like tied it to the typing for this gen specifically. And I also used some lighter blue for some details because I thought it would look nice, right? So Chinchou is a very simple design. They help sailors get around because they're very, very bright. They're like little baby lighthouses. If you see a lot of Chinchou around, they're usually guiding ships out to sea. So they're very nice. A lot of humans like them. Those eyes are everything. I needed to keep those. I thought about giving them an iris with an X in it, but I was like, no, that's not extreme enough. I need to do the whole sclera. Lanturn. So, I love these things. Even though it has one of the weirdest fucking shapes in a fish Pokemon that I've ever seen, I found them to be very cute and very, very charming. They have like, vibes, but it turns out they're kind of goblins. Once I found that out, my fucking image for the Musu came clear in my mind, and I got right to work. The legs are gone, yes. So this is Lanturn. I would call Lanturn undersea pirates, but prank pirates. These are like the embodiment of it's just a prank, bro. Like they sink ships by mistake because they want to play. Another thing I had to do with this one was I also had to make the light bulb come out the back of the body. Again, I tried the head. The balance for the design was lost completely. And in order to preserve the silhouette, I had to make it come out of the back. The fun thing about these, though, is that I wanted to tie together their eye color with their main outfit, but since these are also kind of dipshits, I didn't want their outfit to be super light, so I made it black, dead ass. It's a great contrast to the blue skin tone, and the fact that, like, they're kind of dicks, so it's a good color to use for something that isn't entirely nice. I gave them a little shark mask. I thought that would be really, really cute, like a little festival shark mask, instead of a fox mask. Like, in Japan, they use fox masks a lot, because fox are, like, very, like, tricky animals. Lanturn are pretty tricky themselves. But they mean well, they're just really rambunctious, right? Their outfit is a little bit more piratey than most, I would say. I didn't give them like kimono sleeves, I actually puffed them.
Fish are modified dorsal fins anyway, so it's better that you put them on the back for Lanturn and Chinchou.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you very much for Super Chat. So I gave them a lot more piratey vibes, especially on the top. I didn't want to do like traditional kimono sleeves, so I made them puffy and I just tucked them into the bandages. I thought that would give them a much nicer silhouette, and I was very much pleased to see it was true. Since they have like dorsal fins, I didn't want to hide those, so I basically made the front of the outfit much longer than in the back. It just needs to cover up the naughty bits, and that's it. And I also just made sure that the color matched well with the actual Musu, but didn't also wash them out. Pun intended. Legit, how would you smash it? Not interested, I'm just curious. Oh, they have a hoo-ha in the front. All of the Musus, fun fact, they're all mammals. They all have a hoo-ha where a normal woman would have a hoo-ha. They're not born from eggs in the Musuverse. They give live birth. So there is a hoo-ha there. I drew it. Why can I clearly imagine this Pokemon Musu doing finger guns? Because I did my job right. 1 potion of water breathing, please. They can come up to land. They will just try to drag you down. They're not safe to be around, I would say. You cling onto it from the front, yep. Or on top of it. Or you lift up the tail. There's a myriad of ways to do it. I've drawn a lot of them. All right, let's move on. Now then, we're starting with the pre-evolutions. We begin with Pichu. I know what you guys are gonna say, and no, these don't evolve via age, because guess what? They don't evolve via age in the games either. I find Pichu to be adorable. I prefer it to Pikachu. My favorite ones in the Pikachu line are actually Pichu and Raichu, believe it or not, because I think they're super cute. Very round, very friend-shaped, fucking precious. Let's see what I did with the Musu. So, all of the pre-evos in the Musuverse evolve through Ardent Shift, but they don't evolve through friendship. It has to be a strong emotion. For Pichu's case, is they want to master their electric magic. I actually went with something a little bit more modern for the outfit. That's a half kimono, half skirt type of vibe. Big bow, big cheeks. It's, since the Musuverse is kind of like not set in a specific time, but I kind of wanted to think about it like in the like early 1900s, I guess you would say. So I was actually using silhouettes and on more Western concessions with a lot of these outfits. So she might look pretty, she looks pretty jovial. She has a very, very open face, very, very round. So I don't want people to assume that these are young, because no, I gave them adult body types. This one just happens to be petite. They evolve through desiring something. Pichu needs to learn how to control their electricity. Once they master it, they will become Pikachu. It has nothing to do with age. Some Pichus die of old age like this. Since the actual base design for the Pokemon is so fucking yellow, I decided to not use super yellow colors. I kept the color scheme warm, obviously, but I mainly went with, like, something very playful. So I wanted the polka dots because I thought they were really cute. They matched the circles on her cheeks. Again, repetition is important. And I went with, like, a green skirt. I particularly like this cut that's a little bit shorter in the front because, again, super playful, super cute. Gave her some tights and gave her some, like, cute Western-style boots with some bows on the back to match the one in her hair. And all in all, the vibe for Pichu is that they're super cute, but they don't have a great control over their electricity. So I also made their hair spiky on the bottom to kind of like show that much more playful nature and make sure that their ears were gigantic. That was like the main thing when I was like designing them on. I was like, I need the ears to be huge. Absolutely. How much of that nightmare is it to watch that hair? Very much so. There's a lot of it, but I wanted there to be a lot of it because I want it to be like the cutest thing on the planet. Cute and girly through and through. Neat. Yeah, that was the vibe. The vibe was like, I need to make girly girl Pichu. Adorable. Have you slash like written about how Pokemon evolves? Yes, I have. Those are all in the actual big dex entries, which I'm not going to go over on stream because it's a lot of text. We move on to Cleffa. I love this thing. Look at it. It's fucking perfect, my child. If you guys don't know, besides Screamtail, Clefairy is my favorite evolution line for Pokemon because A, fairy type, B, pink. So Cleffa are super cute, and they're little baby nuisances. So and they don't have a lot to work with. It's a round thing with 2 fucking big ears. So let's see what I did. It hardly has arms or legs. It's very rotund. It's star-shaped, okay? That's the vibe. This is my Cleffa! So all of my Clefairy line has always been fairly thicky, and I wanted to keep it that way, right? Clefairy are funny because I wrote them as aliens and they are still aliens in Johto. Cleffa are kind of like the assistants, so they just show up in big groups, but like no one believes you when you tell them they saw them. So they don't have the traditional Japanese outfits that most Johtomons have. No, they have an actual spacesuit. They don't even have medieval fantasy outfits. Like, this is like the best fucking fantasy concession to a spacesuit that I could come up with. And this is a very, very simple version because the more elaborate ones are worn by Clefairy and Clefable. With Cleffa, I wanted to keep it cute, so I gave them really big boots, really, really big ribbons on the back, and I mainly made the hair super wispy and spirally and floaty. I kept their color scheme pretty solid, just brown and pink. Nothing super complicated here. And I wanted them to look really different from the rest of the Mons because they're from outer space, so they're not actually from the region specifically. Very, very soft color scheme, very approachable, very huggable. They don't speak at all. So they just get that cute little dopey smile always and forever, which I think is super fucking cute. I use moons a lot in these designs because of the Clefairy's ties to the moonstone, so it's something that I tend to repeat a lot. But I also did some stars on the hair clips as well because Cleffa are meant to be star-shaped. So I put some stars here and there as well. And all in all, the main thing with this Pokemon was to make sure that it looked as round and as soft as possible. Like, Cleffa had to look super... It's just you, Lily. No! It's just supposed to be super French. It's not just me. I'm way pinker than this. This is a very light pink. How dare you? It's like a humanoid Kirby almost. Yeah, it's meant to be like super cutesy and pink and squishy. Hippy dippies. Yeah, very big hips. They're meant to be round, but not as like round as like a Clefable. I had my dick sucked by an alien. Sure, dude, sure. Oh, fun fact. Anybody who's fucking bonded to a Cleffa or Clefairy or Clefable, no one believes them ever. Igglybuff! Baby! So, this thing looks incredibly unhinged. The red eyes are boring into my soul. They remind me of the eyes of a pigeon, and they have 3 balls on their forehead, and they're basically giant attention whores. It's a pretty easy assignment. Let's see how I did. A very pink thing, yes. A lot of the pre-evos are pink things. Ba 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 ba! So, Igglybuffs, as I've stated previously, are attention whores. So they dress very flamboyantly. They don't walk, they float, so their grippers are out. They actually have normal grippers, you're welcome. Some of the only Musus with feet, actual feet. The funny thing about Igglybuff is that, like, they're perfect short stacks, right? They're not very tall. They're a fairly short Pokemusu. They can't sing as well as a Jigglypuff, but that's not going to stop them from trying. So when I was designing the outfit for this, I was like, I need this to be as obnoxiously girly as absolutely possible. So I gave them a westernized kimono, a lot of ruffles, almost like a Lolita-style outfit. You can actually see these. You can buy outfits like this online. A lot of ruffles, a lot of flounces, a lot of bows, very simple, like cherry blossom patterns. But I did not want to make it pink, because the actual Pokemon is already so fucking pink that it would get kind of lost in the shuffle. So I went with baby blue. Something really soft and light. And that kind of just shows off the fact that they just like to be praised. Like, Igglybuff live for the praise. Once they receive enough praise and they sing better and better and better, then they evolve into Jigglypuff. The strong emotion that they use to evolve is clout. So, feel identified, chat. Big attention whore. Yep, streamer. Would be a VTuber. Try to find it shiny. Ooh. Goblin. They are kind of goblin-y, but they're very sweet. They're also super short. They just seem taller because they float everywhere. Demands loves. Yes. And I wanted to show that outfit being super cute because of that. And super, like, obnoxious. No one in Johto dresses like this. Most people who see, like, these, like, flouncy types of outfits are like, oh, okay, you want attention. Thank you for the follow! Togepi! This is one of my absolute favorites. It's an egg! It's an egg. That's it. It's an egg. It's an egg with hands and feet and the cute little face. And believe it or not, the initial concept for this one gave me a hard time, but I was able to overcome it and come up with what I think is one of the more unique designs in this gen. Let's see. Egg with Lisa Simpson hair. Yeah, baby! And this is my Togepi. Isn't she cute? So one of the big challenges I had with Togepi was the fact that the egg had to be attached to them. But, you'll very quickly realize that I couldn't just make her inside of an egg because that would have looked hella fucking stupid. So my concession was to make it seem like that, yes, they did break out of an egg, but the eggshell is actually stuck to them. The shell is her clothes. Yes, she can take those off if she wants to, but she prefers to keep them. The main thing I wanted was to kind of like show a very jovial nature. The Togepi reacts to happiness, and they can bring happiness. If they are around negative emotions, they get sick. They will vom. They don't like it. So I needed them to be super cute and super happy. And fun fact, this was the initial concept without clothing. It came out so good that I was like, you know what? This one doesn't need clothes. This one cannot be wearing anything, because if I give it clothes, I will lose the eggshell bits. And that's such a key element to the Pokemon that if I lose that, I will fail this design experiment. Do they lay eggs? Yeah, the Togepi line is one of the few ones that actually do lay eggs. And again, Togepi can stay Togepi forever. They only really evolve with love. These actually evolve through loving someone. It's one of the few ones that do, but if they don't find a partner, they will stay like this until the day they die. They must be big eggs. They grow. They grow. You can say they grow. I also really like that I managed to kind of keep the head horns by making them like actual horns, giving her like a really cool crown on top of her head. And that's why I gave her such big hair, because since the Pokemon is really bottom heavy, I needed to make up for that in composition, which is why I gave her a lot of hair. But I put a lot of detail into the body, and just the concept alone was so solid that I decided to forgo clothing. Is there skin on those horns? Yeah, it's like the skin on her body. Wait, do they only have the toes? Yeah, they do. Only have the toes. Weird grippers. There's a lot of weird grippers in this chat. A lot. And yeah, very, very big hips. So now that you guys know that they can evolve through love, let's see the evolution, which is Togetic. So we went from an egg to a Q-tip. It's a Q-tip with wings, that's it. The egg patterns remain, which I really actually like. I'm really glad that they kept those. But the yellow is gone. So this goes from a very warm color scheme to a very cool tone one. And knowing the fact that these evolved through pure love, I decided to do something very interesting with the actual Musu. Let me show you guys. Q-tip with wings. Colgate, pasta de dientes. So Togetic are the closest thing that Johto has to an angel. These only really evolve through strong love, and they will dedicate their life to loving their partner. However, they're pretty long-lived. So when their partner dies, they spread joy throughout the land. Knowing that, I decided immediately that the color scheme had to be white. I could barely give it color. The only concessions I made was 2 accents. The eggshell patterns on its body, and the accents on the obi and sash and inner lining of the kimono. I gave her a lot more ornamentation than Togepi, as when Togepi doesn't have any clothing, Togetic has a lot more. I dressed them almost like how they would dress angels in Japanese folklore. This is deadass something like what they would wear. I just made it a little bit more revealing, a little bit more sexy, and I kept because I want to show the egg patterns. And I mainly kept it with like those 3 colors, because that's all it needs. I wanted it to be like really soft and really like pure being of sheer joy. They will still vom around extreme negative emotions, but they can handle themselves better now. Looks quite divine in the literal sense. It's supposed to be. They're not easy to find. Togetic are actually incredibly rare. You will find them though flying around spreading joy to people and with those cute little wings. And again, the most fun thing about this Pokemon was just making sure that I managed to capture that grace. I wanted them to be super graceful, super ethereal, angelic beings of pure joy. And I think I did pretty good. Very, very cute. So in other words, it's an egg that assists people in trying times. Exactly! You know that. Thank you! And Togekiss, believe it or not in this gen. Oh yeah, any babies that they have would be Togepi. They usually, like, an evolved Musu will give birth to the pre-evolution of that line. They're never born evolved. Thank you for the follow. Not two. This bird has seen some shit. And that's why it's so fucking funny. Like, I think this thing is hilarious because it's just a ball with wings and a fucking little flick on the forehead, and that's it. It's also one of the more colorful ones in this gen, and I'll show you guys what I did with it because I had to do some creative koroshiori to actually be able to work with this color scheme because it's bright, mama. It's garish as shit. So for this one, given the fact that it has a very, very strong indigenous fucking type of design, I went in and I did some research and I found that Japan actually does have some indigenous tribes that make this specific type of clothing. I believe the tribe is called the Ainu. And I decided to take it and work with it because I want to kind of preserve that vibe. I didn't want to just give them a normal kimono and be done with it. I needed to be way more tribal and way more specifically ethnic than most musu. They've also seen some shit. And you will notice very quickly that the outfit I made for them is in a very desaturated shade of purple. The actual Ainu wear purple like this, but it's actually darker. I could not saturate this purple more because if I did, I would have burnt out your retinas. I would have burnt down your retinas. So a big part of my job with this musu, because making the body was easy, it's a harpy. Preserve the wing patterns on the feet and the feather and you're golden. My big challenge was koroshi-oriing my way through not giving the reader eye damage. And I think I did pretty good. I loved recreating the patterns from the traditional clothing for this. I really liked the very muted shade of purple. It actually contrasts with like the very bright green really, really well. These are kind of like clairvoyants, right? They can see the future, but only in small bursts. They're not very emotive. I really like the nuts. Oh my god, thank you. They're not very emotive birds. They don't say much. They're pretty stoic, but they do. They can see the future, and they do look like mystics. That was kind of the vibe. Thank you for the follow! She's judging Neil Harsley. She's seen your search history. The Annie lived on Hokkaido, aka what Sinnoh was based on. Yeah, they live in like colder regions, but I decided to use it because I think it really, really fit with the aesthetic of the Pokemon. I actually had to do a lot of research for a ton of these into Japanese culture because I didn't want to just do kimonos and that's it. That would have been incredibly boring and I would have wanted to pull my eyes out very, very quickly. So a big part of the challenge with this gen was finding different cultural parts of Japan, different jobs, different roles, different ceremonies, different tribes to actually work with and make this gen feel as traditionally Japanese as humanly possible. I actually tried to give these beaks at one point, believe it or not, but unless I was going to go full furry, which I did not want to do, they didn't work out. So I gave them just a little yellow pattern on the nose. The Pokemon still get captured. Would you capture another human being? No, they do not. Musu are as smart as humans, for the most part, so no. That's the main reason I didn't want to make it like the Pokemon games in lore, because wouldn't it kind of feel icky if you were capturing and trading other fucking sentient beings? That gets real close to fucking slavery, and we don't want that. This is a more traditional RPG. They join your party because they like you. So that was Natu. Let's move on to Xatu.
Not to be that guy, but imagine she sees
Oh, the
all
pawn.
the things I do to her in the future.
They can see little
Roll.
bits and pieces. They're not fully clairvoyant. These motherfuckers, however, are dumb shit bird. These things have seen everything, everywhere, all at once, and it shows in their faces. This is one of the funniest Pokemon design I've ever seen. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the fucking 1,000-yard stare, the eyes on the boobies, the fact that it looks like a little old woman that's just like glaring you down. I don't know, mama, but I think they're hilarious. And I actually had to work through that laughter to make the Musu, but I think I managed to come up with a really good concession. This is my Xatu. So, as you guys can tell, I still kept it pretty indigenous looking. I kept the color schemes, but I got a little bit more fantasy with this one because since they have basically almost skirt-like feathers, I didn't dress them. Underneath those wings folded in the front is just a strip of cloth. They don't wear a lot of clothing. They don't need them. So most of the work I did was actually in ornamentation. I took some inspiration from Tears of the Kingdom for this, from Zelda's jewelry specifically. So I could do stuff that was a little bit more mystic, and that was like feather patterned, eyes everywhere, because Xatu actually can see the future. In fact, they can see the future to such a degree that they can't fucking move around because they think that any change that they do to themselves or others will affect the future timeline. They're basically terrified of action because they think it's going to change time. So I need to capture that like stoic fucking sense.
They've seen your browser history.
They've seen what you're going to look up. Not your browser history, what you're going to look up. And it's bad, mama. Thank you for the super chat. So yeah, that was like the main thing with Xatu, is that I want to keep them as still and stoic as possible. And when I was doing the posing for this, nothing worked except trying to mirror the Pokemon's pose to the best of my ability. However, all of these designs still work in other poses, because I do draw the biology for these in the concept art. But for the sake of preserving the silhouette as much as possible, I kept her pose very, very close to the actual Pokemon. I also wanted to keep the composition completely triangular, so I gave her really, really long hair that also splayed out at the bottom. And yes, there are eyes on the boobies! I could not put the eyes on the boobies. They're not real eyes, by the way. They're just feather patterns. They're painted. They're not real. Those shinies? Yeah, they're on the tits, not on the eye. Is that a skirt or feathers? They are feathers. They don't actually have pants. My eyes are actually where you are looking. No, those don't work! So yeah, big chunk of Xatu was ornamentation because she barely wears clothes. But the clothes she did have, I want to make them resemble feathers as well. That was like the main challenge with them, was posing and making sure that their outfit looked like an actual mystic while still preserving that very tribal aesthetic, that very like ethnic, like old ancient aesthetic. I want to start to those big soulful eyes. The eyes are the booba! All right, gotta take a little minute for a gamer stuff spray because I've been chatting a lot. Are you guys having fun? Legend of Zelda vibes. That was direct inspiration for this one, yeah. So much fun. Yay! I'm really glad to see it. Great energy, especially on YouTube. Thank you guys. Give me some wiggles while I chug some gsupps. Obligatory shield break, by the way. Bowberry, lit flavor, super tasty. Go try some. Use code KINKYMATION at checkout for 10% off, baby. Xatu turned out great. I had a lot of fun with this gen. I'm invested very much, yes. I'm really, really glad you guys are liking it because this project has been literally years of my life. I've been working on this for 3 years, and I actually make the entirety of this project for free. This is not on my Patreon or anything. This is literally for the love of the game. And it's thanks to this project that I have so much experience with character design, fun fact. If it wasn't for this, I would not be nearly as well equipped to yap about this shit as I do now. Because with this gen, I have 250 designs under my belt. 252, rather. Or, yeah, 51 designs under my belt, because without this project, I would not be as good of a character designer as I am now. And this is where I actually get to show off my chops, chat! So you can see that I put my money where my fucking mouth is. I'm not just chatting shit.
Giving Maya from Ace Attorney cool.
Yeah, except on Maya that won't get, like, you know, plot poisoned by Phoenix, right? This is how I found out I'll be right. Thank you. Alright, gsupps break over. We can continue. Oh, we're playing with the big boys now. Mareep, this is actually one of my favorite lines to design out of this entire dex, because they are so cute! They're like so friendship and so adorable and so fluffy! Electric sheep, can you pet it? No, it's gonna electrocute at you, but I don't care, I want the billion! So the Mareep line actually was really, really fun to design, because I gave them a lot of purpose. The dex actually gave me a decent amount of stuff to work with. This is the Mareep Musu. Look at her! So the cool thing about Mareeps is that they shed their wool a lot, and it's almost always electrified. It needs to be treated by mages to be made into garments, but they are actually the people who purvey most of the fabric in Johto, and it's very, very useful. They don't wear a lot of clothing. They're almost simple farm girls in a sense. There's a decent amount of Mareep around. So I want to keep the design focused on the wool more than anything else. That's why I kept the clothing really, really, really minimal. I want to show off that they have wool everywhere. So they have wool around their neck, on their arms, heavily on their legs, and obviously their hair is wool. That is not hair, that is wool.
Holy sheep, she's adorable.
Thank you! I also gave them Tiggle Bitties because I wanted them to be fluffy and huggable, and fat bags are part of that equation. It was really, really fun to kind of like capture the silhouette for Mareep on this because I was like, I need them to be blue-skinned because it's such an iconic design element, but I need them to be mainly fluffy. I didn't really start thinking about outfits more until the Flaaffy side of the equation, because Mareep are very simple. They're simple farm girls. Their main source of income is selling their wool. It's super useful, has a lot of magical qualities. It's electrified. You need to treat it before you wear it, but people love it anyway. They're very beloved Musu. They like humans, and I just kept the outfit very simple, very white. I didn't want to give them a lot of colors because they're already very, very colorful. So the outfit does not a lot of work. In lore, Mareep's wool is one of the most luxurious materials for cloth. Is it the same with Musu's? Yes, but it depends on the stage of evolution. Mareep are more common cloth. And again, the outfit's super simple, just white, undyed cloth. This is basically like bleached out stuff. I didn't want to give them a lot of color because, hello, they're fucking blue. I didn't think it was necessary. So for me, preserving and showing off how soft they are and how much wool they have was the name of the game for this line. Let's move on to Flaaffy, shall we? Flaaffy! They become pink, they stand up, because that's a thing that some Pokemon do, and they lose some wool. However, the wool is significantly higher quality. And I took this in mind when I was actually designing the Musu to give you guys something a little bit fancier. Let me show you. Flaaffy's wool is significantly higher quality than Mareep's, but they don't have as much. So a lot of Flaaffy actually get hired by noble houses and by aristocrats and just fancy merchants to make clothing for them. This is when their fabric starts becoming a lot more luxurious. So I want to show off the fact that these girly pops, pink things be a little bougie, all right? A much more heavy kimono, a lot more wool on the actual kimono itself. Ornamentation, they're wearing a thunderstone. I don't know if you guys noticed that. And their basic thing is that, like, they're artisans, they're craftspeople for nobles. So I wanted to dress them like how a noble would treat, like, their favorite artists back in the day. They would be kitted out to the nines. So her kimono is heavier, it's longer. I kept the Flaaffy patterns on the tail for the kimono. I didn't want to get super ornamental with this one because you'll see. But for this one, it was mainly kind of capturing a more fancy vibe.
The last one reminded me of how Midna from Twilight Princess is completely shirtless in her true form. In a Zelda game, no less.
Thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, they have a thunderstorm, which are actually pretty rare. They're not easy to find. But yeah, the main thing was that Flaaffy, since they have less fluff, I could actually do more with the outfit. That's why it's also a lot more ornamented than the other one. So I gave them a lot of gold details. I made them heart-shaped because, hello, soft. Also fat bags. And most of the outfit is pink. I only really added a few concessions to color and accents because that blue on the tail is so striking. I wanted to add it in different places in the actual kimono, which was mainly in decoration for the sleeves, shoes, and hips. And these are like much fancier than Mareep. They're very, very rare. You don't see them often. And because most of the time they're like hired out by noble families. Boobs bigger, boobs fatter, thing pinker, kimono fancier, fur lined, wool lined as well, because of course. Yes, incredibly huggable as well. And now let's show you guys the Pièce de Resistance, another one of my absolute favorite designs from this gen. This fucker, Lighthouse Pokemon. So fully standing up on the 10 legs, and it also becomes deleted bald. So many people asked me if I was going to make the Musu bald, chat. I got concerned for your mentals. Some people were like, are you gonna make Ampharos bald? No, I was not. I know that the Pokemon is bald, but like, it's super cute, and I really love the color scheme for this one. Let me show you one of my favorite designs in this gen. I can't even pick one. There's so many that I like. Bad bitch. So the reason why I kept Flaaffy pretty not ornamented was because this is the height of ornamentation, right? Ampharos shed all of their wool when they evolve, okay? Step on me, please. Yeah. But the thing is, their wool is so magically imbued and such high quality that they use it to make one garment. Could be anything. Could be a kimono, could be gloves, could be boots, whatever.
Okay, this is the greatest thing I've seen on this channel yet.
Thank you. So they used to make it one item. And that one item, they're so sought after that if one person buys one, the Ampharos is set for life. They basically become legendary craftsmen, artists. People fucking go to them even after they've made the garment for advice. So when I made the outfit, I was like, I need her to be fancy. So I retained the black from the fucking accents of the actual Pokemon to make the base of this design. And I also added a lot of ornamentation. A lot of little embroidered details on the kimono. I gave her a fan. I gave her a lot of jewelry, rubies, red lining on the inside, fancy boots and jewelry. And Ampharos, for me, had to be like the height of fashion and decadence. They also have really, really long sleeves on the kimono, which were typically only reserved in Japan for special occasions, but Ampharos wear them all the time. They basically are almost at royalty status because they're that bitch. But I wanted to show how fancy you could get. And the most fun thing for me to design and put together for this was where I was gonna put the wool lining on the actual kimono. So many people reached out to me about this design, begging me to do the mega, that I am actually highly considering it, but not yet. I just really, really had a lot of fun. I actually straightened the hair out completely just so I would have a really nice contrast between the fucking wool on the actual kimono and contrast between the Flaaffy and Mareep. No longer is it soft and squishy, it's sleek and shiny. And it has a lot of hair anyway, a ton, it's almost down to the floor, but she keeps it up in very elaborate hairpins. The fun thing about Ampharos was just like trying to capture that like incredible elegance and air of superiority of look at this amazing thing I'm set for life. They have a lot of lore because the decks gave me a lot to work with, but I'm very, very happy with them.
Just got here. Are these available now outside of stream? Also, holy cow. The fat sheep bags. I
do have a Dropbox that does have almost all of them, minus the last few. And these are all in my Discord server as well, with the full dex entries with lore. If you guys are in the Discord, you will be able to find them in the channel. Thank you for the super chat. But if you don't want to get spoiled because we're going to be reviewing the next 50 next week, I would advise against going. I can imagine the Mega looking like a Super Saiyan 3 transformation, but with more Pokemusu-esque. I am not really thinking about the Mega right now, but I did consider it because a lot of people actually asked me about it. But that was Ampharos. You can easily tell why it's one of my favorites. Moving on. Thank you for the super, Joseph. You should be proud of these. I'm very proud of these. Bellossom. So Bellossom, fun fact, I didn't know that these evolved from Gloom until I actually started working on this project. Fun fact. I was like, where the fuck does this come from, Gloom? And they're super cute. And the big challenge with this one, believe it or not, chat, was not making it look like a hula girl. A lot of people were like, obviously go for a hula girl, but I was like, no, fantasy Japan. So here's what I did. I think I managed to work with it pretty well. So the first thing you might notice with this one is no legs. It does not have legs. It's all tentacles, all vines. Second is, that's not a kimono. I decided to go for an oriental route that wasn't specifically any country. Like this isn't like Chinese or Japanese or Korean. I kept it very ornamented, almost lotus flower patterns on the dress, but since she doesn't really have legs and the leaves do so much of the work, I mainly kept the fucking ornamented bits top heavy. The flower petals are so cool, thank you. So these are her legs. She has little baby tentacles. They're just 2 of them. So she's almost a Scylla, but not quite. And the Bellossom was super fucking fun to conceptualize body type-wise. The outfit was a bit harder. But I basically wanted to be like very, very happy, very cute. Because these evolve when you treat a Gloom nice, basically. If you guys have ever seen my Vileplume, you'll know that that's the alternative. But if you treat a Gloom really, really nice, you get this. The Rafflesia flowers on her head were non-negotiable, except I rounded them out a little bit more. I made them a little bit softer. And with the outfit, the main thing I wanted was to show off a lot of flower patterns. So I made a lot of ruffles, a lot of like actual flowers on the design, petal shapes. And I wanted to basically keep it like looking like a dancer from nondescript oriental country. Deadass. Because I wasn't going to do a kimono for this one. Because actual Japanese dancers, they're usually geisha and they're wearing like fully decked out super heavy kimono. I couldn't do that with Bellossom, mainly because I want to show off the legs. That was like the big challenge with this one was not make it look like a hula girl and show off the legs. They had like a built-in skirt already, so any cloth on the bottom would just take away from the design. Color-wise, I decided to lean to a warmer tone for the dress because the actual rest of the Pokemon is very cool toned. So I went with pink, so I wouldn't use the same red as the flowers in her hair because I wanted those to stand out.
Foot fetishists.
Oh yeah, no gripper, sorry. Also, thank you very much for the super chat. And Undead, thanks so much for joining the channel. Very pretty Pokemusu. They should be out in a pretty derby. Sorry, not sorry. But they're not horses. But yeah, very, very pretty built-in skirt. Went with pink instead of red so the red would not get washed out. Thank you. All right. Rat! A rat! Oh shit, a rat! Marill, this one was super fun because again, the Dex gave me shit to work with. I love this thing because it's a ball. I have a Marill Squishmallow on my bed. Fun fact, because I love this Pokemon so much. Yes, Peekaboo, shut up! They deserve to be called by their actual name, you fucking degenerates! They've earned it! They've earned it! Especially with their evolution. Anyway, super round, super friend-shaped, water mouse. Let me show you how I made mine. Ba, 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 ba. So, a really cool thing about Marill is that their tails can act as buoys, so they can like actually use them to float around. When I was designing this character, I was like, oh, what the fuck am I gonna make them wear? And then I remembered, Japanese pearl divers, right? There are women out there in Japan who free dive for pearls. No oxygen tanks, no nothing. All right? So I wanted to use kind of like that vibe for Marill, but they're kind of like treasure hunters. They don't dive for pearls. They have a lot of bips and bops on their outfits because of that. I gave them a swimsuit, and I also gave them a lot of trinkets that they like to collect. They basically explore shipwrecks and pull stuff out. So I went with like the pearl diver aesthetic. I gave them the same type of visor that they wear and the same type of basket that they use to collect oysters, and a white suit, but that's about where the reference stopped. And I've added some more bits and bops. I added a really nice like coral and bubble patterned kimono, or I don't remember what it's called. It's kind of like basically the same type of like coats that the Demon Slayers wear on top of their uniform. I want to keep it super cute and super easy to move in because this is for swimming. And yeah, the main inspiration was Japanese pearl divers because I thought it was really, really sweet. They're called haoris. Yeah, she's wearing a bubble and coral haori. Super, super cute. And a little bit less of a saturated blue because she's very, very bright. And this one, I wanted to just basically make it super soft and squishy. When Pokemon are very round, I tend to make the Musu a little bit on the chunkier side because, not because I need them to be fat, but because I want to preserve that softness. She looks so stupid. I love it. They're kind of dopey. They just like, they like to dick around in shipwrecks a lot.
What if you did these again but as short kings?
No, girl cuter. Thank you for the super chat. I already have like 1,000 more to go through. We gotta chill. Her bags look like they could fall out whenever. I mean, they might, but they're staying in there for now. Look, they're not smart, okay? They're really cute. But that was Marill, and I had a lot of fun with this one because the Dex actually gave me a lot to work with. Little baby water mouse. Let me show you guys the huge power! My fucking ace. This Pokemon is the fucking base that I have. Whenever I find it in any gen that I'm fucking playing, I use this thing. It's an egg! It's a rabbit egg! With water and fairy and huge power, that's it. But believe it, yes, it's squirty. Yes, it's squirty. But believe it or not, the Musu's even better. Let me show you. Bam, bam, bam! Big Mama! So Azul Marill are much better swimmers than Marill.
Street by sea.
I love her. Thank you for the super chat. They're much better swimmers than Marill. So instead of just like salvaging shit from shipwrecks, they do search and rescue. So I changed their toolkit with the design. I changed the haori to like an actual kimono over a swimsuit. And I kept like kind of like a bandage style. They're still wearing their visor, but now instead of picking up shit from shipwrecks, like let me just zoom in on those booba. Look at them! Big, large. I gave them a wave pattern kimono, and I also gave them a lot of rope. So they use this stuff to basically find and rescue people from shipwrecks.
Something I really enjoyed was the references to all three of their abilities in the Dex page.
Oh, that was all Wilson.
They're chubby in the right places where it's attractive for thick fat. They become Azumarill when they supposedly gain huge power, and the Dex mentions the Sap Sipper Club.
Yeah, the bags, her bags won't fall out, whatever. No, they have better control of their bags. But, like, their main thing is search and rescue. So I kept their outfit a little bit more movable, no loose jacket. Their visor is bigger. And they have, like, a little grappling hook thing to grab onto shipwrecks. They can dive down and rescue people very easily. They don't have a ton of detail. Their outfit is actually relatively simple. I also added little ropes to hold up the sleeves, mainly because their job is to find lost people and help them to safety. Flotation devices. The boobs! I would crash the boat just so they could squish me. They would scold you. Is that fur on the legs? Yes, they are fuzzy. So the legs actually, I did give her footwear in the form of bandages, right? That kind of matches the swimsuit. So the legs are actually fuzzy. It goes up almost right up to the ass. And then they have a little pattern here that switches back to the blue. Those are not shoes, those are her actual feet. I also did keep her fairly chunky. And I gave her a lot more like fur along the legs to kind of like round out the silhouette even more. She could not dive with those floaters. Ah, she can, and she's very good at it. I am drowning. I may need help. No, you're fine. Chat, fine. Control your thirst, chat. Ah, yes, the cycle of life. Lanturn sinks ship and Azumarill saves the people. A lot of people are very happy when they see Azumarill in the water, okay? Like, they actually lead Marill squads to help as well. So not all Marill are just hunting around shipwrecks for shit. They're actually helping find people. They have a very, very important job in society. And these are the ones that I would say get along with people the most, especially in coastal towns. Thank you for the follow! Sudowoodo, this thing is hilarious. I'm sorry, this Pokemon is never not gonna be funny. It's a rock shaped like a tree! It's so fucking stupid, it never fails to make me giggle. And I actually wanted to capture that stupidity in the design, so let's see how I did. Fake wood, real sex icon. Palo! This is my Sudowoodo. So the challenge with Sudowoodo came into making it look like it was made out of stone and not wood, right? So if you look at the design closely, you'll notice that it's cracked. It doesn't look like bark, it's literally stone cracks. This was one of the more fun ones to design. I immediately knew when I was like making the base design for this that I couldn't dress them. Because even in the actual, like, lore for the Musu decks, they pretend to be trees. They get caught immediately, because if you so much as, like, fucking flash spit at them, they panic. They don't like water. But they want to be trees so bad. So the vibe I went with them was wanna be sacred trees. If you ever go to Japan, thanks so much for the follow, and if you're, like, ever hanging out around temples or sacred forests, you will see trees with a type of sash around them with, like, little paper fans, right? Those are sacred trees. So Sudowoodo want to be trees so bad that they dress up as sacred trees. They don't really wear much clothing, anything else, and they tend to stay still for hours at a time until someone splashes water nearby, and then they bolt. These are the ones of the type of Musu that I would classify as a nature spirit, so I didn't want to dress them. I want it to be mostly moss. Is that why she looks nervous in the other art? Yes, it is, because he, you know, he busted. Her face cracks me up. She's so proud of this guys. Oh yeah, they're incredibly proud of themselves. I wanted to show that, like, stupid dopey expression of like, ah yes, I am a tree that the actual Pokemon has. I think I did pretty good with that. But the main thing was making sure that the texture and like feel of the Mon were stone. So at a glance, if you're like far away and you look at this design, you're like, oh, that's wood. But then when you zoom in, you immediately spot that these are stone cracks. It's not wood at all. The texture is completely different. And it was super fun to design this and give it like moss and shit so they could like try and trick people into thinking they were trees, but they are very easy to spot and most people know what their deal is from a mile away. There's nothing in there. I love the shoe they're hanging off her waist. Based off sacred trees, yes. Politoed!
She has 2 brain cells and both of them are trying so hard to be a tree.
Yeah, she fails miserably. So Politoed is actually super cute. I saw it and I fell in love. Look at that dopey little face. This swirly, like fucking ahoge. It's so cute and the giant eyes are just like, oh, precious, precious fucking baby. Absolutely adorable. The evolution for this in like the games is kind of weird. I think you need the fucking, Wilson called it the King's Rock in the fucking Musu decks. I've just been informed by Hubby that the item is dead as called the King's Rock, so yeah, that's what they need to evolve. And on that note, here's what I made. Kermit the Frog! So this is my Politoed. So Politoed evolve when they are exposed to a King's Rock, and they immediately become leaders. The things to know is that the bigger the ahoge, the higher the position of authority. There's not a lot of these, but usually if there's more than one in one community, they will literally give up leadership to whoever has the ahoge of power. I'm not joking. Design-wise, I didn't want them to go out and be full noble because this is still part of the Poliwhirl line, and I very much tied those to nature. So I gave them like a kimono in like a subdued golden shade, and it's still ornamented, but I did add a lot of nature details regardless. I still kept a lot of vines, a lot of leaves. Even in like the obi, I tied like almost like a string of seaweed there, right? It looks super cute. It's ornamental, it's probably embroidered, but it still looks natural. And I also gave her some gold jewelry that was vine and leaf shaped. I didn't want to do anything super harsh and angular. I wanted to keep it all organic because I kind of wanted to play with that like little swirly ahoge that they have there, you know? These are also performers. They are singers. They can literally captivate audiences with their voice. That's like their big thing. So like the better the singer, the more respect a Politoed has as well. So people just go and like hang out in marshes and water and bodies of water where they're at to just watch them sing and perform. And that's like kind of like their thing, right? So like they're basically like leaders of their communities. And I want to show the performer base. I gave her a fan, which very much adds to that performer vibe.
You've done amazing work with these.
Thank you, Minus. Thank you for the sub. And I wanted them to kind of like just hang out, but also have some sense of authority. That's why the outfit is more ornamented than a normal kimono, but at the same time, I kept it natural. And again, this is another one that has a weird skin color. I had to preserve that mouth shape when it was a frog, which is very, like, aggravating because everybody sees a frog and think, oh, Suyu. Like, no, it's a frog. Frogs have that mouth shape. Look at the Pokemon. I needed to actually preserve it. Kept the super big eyes, and mainly wanted to make it, despite the fact that it's pretty colorful, a very cohesive color scheme. So I think I did a good job avoiding anything way too bright or glaring and just doing like a very nice soft gold with a lot of those little swirly patterns that works very well as something a performer and a leader would wear. She has a lot of kabuki vibes. Yeah, that was a vibe. That was the idea. Thank you. I'm really glad that people get those things. It tells me I'm doing a good job. That's why the cheeks also work. The cheeks definitely add to the kabuki vibes. Hoppip! Another pink thing. There are many pink things in Pokemon, which I'm very, very happy to see. Hoppip are, I'm not gonna lie to you, fam. They don't do much. These are the ones that Wilson and I classified as Pokemon who just want to hang out. So they're not exactly super useful. They're very cute though. And I actually want to use that cuteness in like their main lore thing, which is they float. So based off this stupidity, this is what I made. This is my Hoppip. These are short stacky. They're very like fucking physically like short. They have fat bags. And I barely wanted to dress them because like their whole thing is that a light breeze can send them flying like 12 miles away. So when I was designing the outfit, that was the main thing I wanted. I wanted it floaty. I wanted, first of all, the leaf to be huge because that's like their propeller, right? So the leaf had to be like a really huge focal element. And then after that, the outfit, I kept it almost monochrome. I mainly really wanted to have some accents of green and yellow here or there, but I kept it mostly pink because the Pokemon is so aggressively pink that I was like, I don't want to break that. No undies. These flow around pussy out. I don't care. I did that on purpose. No undies whatsoever. Very, very floaty sash. Really, really big obi in the back. That's their skirt. So like the outfit is basically a deconstructed obi. They're not wearing any dress. Because like, again, any clothing would weigh them down. And they enjoy being tossed about like a fucking paper bag. Like in that one movie, you know? Have you ever seen a paper bag? Grippers. Yeah, also feet. They also have normal feet. I only give them 3 feet, though, to kind of, like, fit with that paw aesthetic. Very minor ornamentation. Just some leaves here and there and some flowers. A lot of the grass types, I don't give them a ton of jewelry because they don't need them. They're very, like, tied to nature. And, like, Hoppip, I think that, considering the fact that they're super short and super fucking light, I think that giving them minimal clothing was the way to go. And they're very round also, so I didn't want to completely kill that aesthetic. Isn't it in their dex entry that they're trying to give an interview, but they end up flying away halfway through? Yes, that was a genius move on Wilson's part. Is the size similar to the Pokemon, though? They are about the size of, like, a giraffe from Grand Blue Fantasy. So they're, like, about 150 centimeters. They're very short. But since they are very round, they're pretty short stacky. They have, like, decent bags. That Pokemon looks like a Necromorph. Yeah, a little bit, don't it? Pink things unite. So that's Hoppip. And Hoppip actually has, like, a 3 Mon evolution line. So let's look at the Skiploom. There is nothing in there. You gave me nothing to work with! Useless member of society. You guys want to know what this fucking dex entry was? Chat? They float. That's it! They go up high during the day and then they float back down at night and they do nothing. Nothing! Fuck nothing. So, but I still managed to turn that nothing into something, because that's my job. What a good life, just float. Boring! This is my Skiploom. So Skiploom are a little bit heavier, so they just float up and down. They tend to, like, not do much, though, other than that. So let's focus on the design for this one, because the fucking dex gave me fuck nothing. The outfit is still pink, but I kept the skin green for obvious reasons. The main thing to note here is that I had to, like, make sure that the flower on their heads was visible at all times. But it's so big and floppy that I didn't want to cover their eyes, so I had to move the petal around a little bit. The actual kimono is very floral, a little bit fancier. I added some fluted edges to the actual skirt here, and a lot of petal patterns everywhere. I wanted to really showcase the flower bit of Skiploom, right? So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and show you guys some of the details. So the stuff that looks like lace on the kimono, I actually, like, fucking modeled it after flower petals. And I gave her an obi in the front because oftentimes they close weigh them down, so they tend to lose them quite a bit. And I mainly wanted to play with all of the blooms in the Pokemon, so there's, like, flower motifs and petals everywhere. I really like the pink for the Hoppip, and that shade of green with pink tends to look very, very sweet, so I kept that. Very, like, warm toned. I could have gone for a full green kimono, but I think that would have looked very dull. And considering the fact that the Pokemon's dex entry is already very dull, I had to make it interesting somehow. So it was mainly through decent use of floaty elements, a really nice silhouette that still very much resembles the Pokemon, if you ask me, and a lot of really good repetition that I managed to make this outfit look surprisingly elegant and very, very cute for a Pokemon that doesn't do a lot of much. It does a whole lot of nothing, chat. Them thighs, my god, they're thicky. And again, these are very round, so I kept them very thick, also fatter bags. Red accents on the outfit that match the eyes, because only one eye is visible, so I need that red to be eye-catching. And I also balanced the yellow up top with some light gold on the bottom. That way, the design is very cohesive. Let's move to my favorite of this evolution line. Orb. That's it. Floating orb. This one was really, really funny because, like, their whole thing is, like, flying around spreading the seeds. And in the dex entry, once they're done spreading the seeds, they die. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Absolutely fuck no. So I had to change some stuff. But design-wise, here's what I did. Jumpluff are super cute, by the way. So I wanted the Musu to be super cute as well. So this one, the outfit is a little bit fancier, but at the same time, it's not as dressy, right? I kept the floaty sash on all of them because that was part of the vibe. Jumpluff float around a lot, so I want to actually use the cotton ball motif everywhere. I necessitated that extreme repetition because I really wanted to fucking hammer the fluffy thing home for these. Like, I made all of the cotton bits super big on her hands, to the point that, like, she can barely use her hands. They manage it somehow. But I also wanted to make the outfit not so much a bright pink or green, a light blue. Kind of like the sky, because they're usually in the sky. However, I didn't want to just forget the pink stuff that I used for Hoppip and Skiploom, so I added it to the lining of the kimono, the obi, and the sash. Green accents are also visible throughout the outfit, because she does have leaves on her head. And if I had only left the ones on her head, it would have been just way too bright, and it would have been, like, the thing that you could only look at, right? So that's why I added green on the bottom and green on her neck as well. Also, no shoes, grippers out. But the main thing is that I kept the fucking cotton ball thing, oh look, a dandelion everywhere in the design. Because when these lose their seeds, they become human. Basically, just a blue person. They don't die. I didn't want to do that. So they just become like a blue person and that's it, you know? But yeah, it turned out super fucking cute. I omitted the sleeves in this one because she already has like the puffy thing on their arms, and I thought that would have been like completely useless to give her like an actual kimono sleeve. So bare arms, bare leggy, just floating around being super cute. Become the girl from Willy Wonka. Yes, inflate! The whole dying thing was not true in the Dex until Scarvire. I'm glad I got rid of it. Dipshit. Aipom. Aipom is super fucking funny. It's like the most dipshit monkey to ever dipshit monkey in the universe. I had seen them before, but I had seen mainly their evolution. So I was like, wait, this should look different. And hubby was like, nope, that's exactly what the first evolution looks like. You've just seen the second one. So this one was pretty tricky because of the hand on the tail, because I actually wanted it to be a hand, not just an orb with nubbins. So this is what I actually ended up coming up with. It's pretty fucking funny if you ask me. Look at it! So, Aipoms are little shits, and I wanted to capture the little shit spirit in both the vibe of the Pokemon and the actual outfit and body language. Aggressively purple, so I had to be really, really careful what colors I picked. I also went a little bit Journey to the West with this, like, you know, monkey that thinks it's big shit. It's an actual hand, by the way, with 2 fingers. They can slap the fuck out of people. It's so fucking funny. I gave them some chaos in the outfit with some asymmetry in specific parts. I also used asymmetry through color, as opposed to using asymmetry through shape. I added some elements here and there that also made it look a little bit more like, rambunctious, right? Like how the kimono's hanging off on only one side. They're not wearing underwear. There's like 2 colors in 2 different places. The socks are the same, but completely different colors, almost as if she grabbed the wrong set on purpose. I gave her like one of those like little rope bandanas that always looks like very like, yes, rapscallion, super fucking cute, and some black details to tie it all together. The monkeys were very, very fun. The hand was a challenge in and of itself, mainly because I wanted it to actually feel like a human hand, but with just 2 fingers. What the hand do, though? It can slap you. It can spank her. She spanked herself in the lewd, actually. I made that happen. I love her at 120s. Little gamer subs break. But yeah, like, as I worked through the gen, like, now that it's actually finished, I found that a lot of the times, the thing that I had to focus on was the concept of what I wanted to do with the Musu, and not so much be like, oh, well, it's a monkey, so it has to just be a monkey. No, I sometimes try to give them jobs and things to do, because I think that oftentimes helps to add to the vibe of the Pokemon. The idea is to design with the Pokemon as inspiration, but if you have to deviate in some ways or do something slightly differently, it's completely okay. You'll see that, like, with the next stream that finishes the gen off, that I did actually have to take some creative liberties with some of these. The important thing to retain is the vibes, the energy, the spirit. If I can make the silhouette match as closely as possible, that's amazing, but sometimes things need to be changed. So that's why the hand is not an orb. Oh god, useless! Useless! If there was a Pokemon in this dex that perfectly encapsulates the problem with Gen 2's fucking dex writing, it's this thing! They do nothing! Do you have any evolutions? Yeah, I do believe that Espeon and Umbreon are both in this video. The rest of the evolutions will be in later gens. This thing does nothing! Seed. Useless fucking thing. So hard to design too, by the way. This was not easy, okay? The single weakest Pokemon. Oh yeah, Wilson had to hammer that point home. But let me show you what I did with this actual monstrosity of a thing. This thing is a freak at Pokemon. Is it? It grows. Nothing in battle either. It's completely useless. This is my Sunkern. So she was really tricky to design because I had to fucking I had to fucking keep that fucking seed silhouette without doing too many changes. And in the end, what I did, if you look at the concept art, I might actually have to pull this one up just to show you guys. Those, like, petals, the thing that she's in, those are her legs. They fold up and surround her, and she flies with that, like, leaf that's growing out of her back. That, like, leaf, it's attached to her. They are useless, But I need to show you guys the concept art to show you what I did with the body for this thing, because it's pretty clever, but you normally would not see it unless you saw the concept art. Let me just pull it up. This one and Sunflora in particular, I'm gonna have to show you guys the concept work because they're both very cursed in very different ways, chat. Where's the coochie at? If she unfurls those leaves, that's where it is. Clever design given limitations. That's how you get creative, chat. Like, they're very sweet and they're very cute. And I want almost like a plant demon. I gave her like little like spokey bits on the head as well. But the actual fucking Musu is functionally useless. Let me show you. This is the concept art for Sunkern. So when they are not flying around through the air, their legs can unfurl like this. Wave, add any sensors you might deem necessary so YouTube doesn't clap me. I always Barbie doll these, but it never hurts to censor shit like this. By the way, none of this concept art has been ever made available publicly except for my Discord server, so this is a treat for most of you guys. When I make concept art, I tend to like focus in on the biology more than anything else. So when Sunkern is actually not curled up in on herself flying around, this is what her legs look like. It's very cursed. Both Sunkern and Sunflora are very, very cursed in different ways. So when she is moving around, she draws up into herself that little shell thing. I love the notes. Thank you. Almost every single one of these have notes. I only really stopped doing the notes at a point because I just wrote down everything for Wilson anyway. But the concept art tends to have my notes as well, which are oftentimes kind of unhinged. So yeah, that's why Sunkern looks the way that it does. It was a very, very tricky design to put together. I think I did really well, though, all things considered. She was just hard to work with because of the shape of the Mon more than anything else. And she's functionally useless, too. But I like how I did it. I like that I managed to extend the patterns from the seed from her face and all the way down her body. And I also really like that I made the sprout come out of her back. And that way I got something that really greatly resembles the silhouette of the actual Pokemon, but still functionally being, a woman, you know? How do they move? They float around. They're not strong, though. They're pretty rare as well. But thankfully, the evolution is much cooler. So let's see Sunflora. Thank you for the follow! Dipshit! I love Sunflora because they remind me of the bit in Scar Bio that I had to collect them and I was running around at like 3 frames per second. It was hilarious. Sunflora are just what it sounds like. It's a fucking sunflower Pokemon. They're super cute, very like active and annoying during the day. I really like it though because it's just deadass a flower with a face on it. That's it. And that's actually exactly what I did. Let me show you. There's nothing in there. Yeah, head empty. This is my Sunflora. So that looks like a beautiful woman, right? Wrong! If you look closely at the design, and I'm actually super proud of myself for this, I'm gonna have to show you guys the concept art. I basically reconstructed human musculature into a plant. Sunflora is a flower with a face. Okay? This is not a person. This is a flower with a face. So I kept the outfit pretty minimal because I wanted to show off that musculature. This is another one of the ones that you could say it's like vaguely Japanese. It's a kimono on the top with something completely different on the bottom that I wanted to resemble leaves. Like, Sunflora's concept, dead ass, chat, I'm not joking. It's a flower that wanted to be a human so much that it grew a face. It grew a body. Like, this flower was basically desired humanity so much that it grew itself a body. Let me show you how cursed this thing is in its concept art. I need to. I absolutely have to. That's so fucking funny. I'm not done yet, because, like, this one, I'm super proud of it, but it's one of the most cursed fucking things I've ever made. The power of will? Yeah. Giga curse. Like, you're about to see just how fucking cursed this thing is, fun fact. I want you guys to, like, pay a special attention to the head on this thing, okay? Because that is not a normal human neck. That is a flower stalk that grew a face. When I was making the body for this, I had to make sure it very closely mimicked human musculature. But I also really wanted to make something about it work with the flower on the head. So she's perpetually shrimping. That smell as fuck. Isn't it cool though? I did such a good job with the anatomy for this one. I almost made her naked, but I couldn't do it because I wanted to make like a lewd that actually worked. So I did give her a dress. But I'm very, very pleased with how I managed to construct this Pokemon into an actual woman. It's delightfully cursed. Thank you! I can't explain why, but I get the feeling that she's about to rope me into whatever MLM scheme she's unwillingly a part of. They're kind of dipshits in the Musu decks as well. Like, they run around during the day, causing mayhem, and at night they don't move, but if you touch one, they will blast you with sunlight.
Given the talk about cursed, were there any Pokemon who, despite being wholesome, made you want to give them cursed lore or something disturbing about them? 'Cause the human muscle plant is almost on that level.
I can actually show you guys the back of her head, but I need to do some surgery. I gotta do some surgery because I'm gonna have to use the lewd to do it. Sunflora. Don't worry, I won't show any bits and bobs on stream because I can't, but like, I'm just so proud of this thing's fucking anatomy that I really want to show it to you guys. Let me just crop it up. I just need to show you guys the back of her head. Thankfully, there's no Nipnops or anything like that on this. It's just plant coochie, but I have to hide the plant coochie. Live Lily surgery. No, you guys can't see the surgery because you'd see vagina. You'd see the plant Usi in all of its splendor, and we don't want that, chat. You don't want the plant Usi. You should be. This is amazing ingenuity. Thank you! Is this gonna be an actual game or is it just a project? Right now, it's just a project. I would like to make a game out of it someday, but I don't have the kind of time and resources for it. If someone wanted to make a game in tandem, like, with me, I would be very happy to help you out with it, but I would like to be involved. This is the back of Sunflora's neck. There is no plant coochie, there is no war embossing say, okay? So you can see from the back of the lewd that it's a stalk, it's not a neck. It's shrimping. It's just a flower that grew a face. What genre? It would not be anything like a Pokemon game. I'd like to make an RPG or a visual novel. So yeah, this is Sunflora's back, and this is kind of like how I made the vines to mimic human muscle. I'm very proud of myself for this one. And that's also why the outfit is so simple, because like the bulk of the work for Sunflora's design is in the musculature. I kept the design very like yellow tinged green with some purple accents just for a splash of color. Very, very light ornamentation. I just wanted the face and the body to be the standout here. Could she live without a head? She could technically grow a new body. Yanma. So this one was tricky mainly because it has a lot of colors, but bugs are usually very tricky to work with. Yanma, if you guys have ever like encountered a dragonfly IRL, dragonflies are assholes. And Yanma is also an asshole. Let me show you what I did with this one. Dipshit. Absolute fucking cunt. I need some confirmation about what you mean by desired humanity. They wanted to be around humans so bad that they grew a body. The good thing, though, chat, about some of these being cursed and super monster girly is that you can play Smash or Pass that is way more interested than just normal girls doing normal girl things. Like, you can put some shit at stake here, all right? But let me show you guys what I did with Yanma. So basically what I wanted to do with Yanma was make a flying Oni. These things are dill holes, all right? They eat people. They are in the firm Musu asshole category, incredibly high risk, do not approach at all, by all means. The really fun thing about this was constructing the bug body in a centaur way that could also look good like standing straight up, right? So the body for this is highly segmented. And I did want to give them exactly the right amount of limbs. Their fangs are red. They have, like, horns. I gave them very pointy elements. Again, one of the big things you can do with a character that's villainous or that's evil is show intensity through triangular shapes. And Yanma has a lot, but with the Musu, I wanted to push it even further. Spiked pauldrons, spiked hip guards, really long spiky feet, spiky hair. For me, the main thing I wanted to convey was danger. And these definitely look dangerous. Like, it's not just the fact that they're, like, bright fucking asshole red. They're just really dangerous, period, you know? Cute gremlin face. They're not cute, they're super mean. Outfit-wise, I want to take, like, the orange. What's that noise? Oh, it started raining. We might have to wait a few minutes. Go on, chat.
Fun fact about dragonflies. They have a 90% hunting success rate.
Yeah, dragonflies are bitches. I'm gonna have to wait a second before I give this explanation because it started to rain. So I'm gonna just wait till it passes a little bit. I thought it was growling. No. So my office has like a metal roof, kind of. It's the type of. It's not like metal sheets or anything like that. But it's kind of like almost metal rooftop. So if it rains, you can definitely hear it. But there was a passing little rain cloud. I think it quiet down. So yeah, the main thing with Yanma outfit-wise is I wanted to use the orange from the wings to make like a more like bright yellow outfit. It's very, very colorful already, so I thought I would stick to like super warm color scheme for this one because there's already like 1, 2, 3, like 4 or almost 5 colors here, so I didn't want to add a ton to this. So it would do the only thing of stuffing someone into a gourd and turning them into sake. Basically, it eats people. It's just not... Who's pissing so loud? God! Gen 4 would have the evolution. So I didn't actually do the full evolution line. I'm going in Dex order. So I have to do it numerically. Thanks so much for the follow. But yeah, Yanma is super fucking mean. And I want to keep that meanness and intensity in the design. So that's why it's very pointy, very triangular, sharp, not at all approachable, not at all friend-shaped. If evil, why so pretty? That just happens in nature, chat. Whooper! So this thing was... a challenge. This thing gave me gray hairs. Do you guys want to know why? So one of the big challenges of this project is maintaining silhouette and also maintaining like as much of the look and feel of the Pokemon as possible. So if a Pokemon doesn't have arms, the Musu can't have arms either, okay? Just hiding the Pokemon's arms behind their back wouldn't work. These have to work in whatever pose is desired, alright? So I had a few options when designing it, and this is where I actually ended up coming up with, because it was tricky, very, very tricky to work around the limitation of they cannot have arms. Crossed arms? Nope. It has to work in any pose. So no bondage? Nope. No one's gonna stay cross-armed their entire lives, so they don't actually have arms at all. What they have, though, is like the start of growing arms, right? So they're amphibious. And part of the reason why I barely dress them is because they can't really dress themselves. Now, they can grow arms, but usually that means that they're gonna become a Quagsire. So most Whooper just have like these little like arm growths almost. Like they have shoulders, they have like up to the elbow, but I didn't want to just give them stumpies because that would break silhouette. So I kind of gave them like the beginning of an arm. I know, it's cursed as fuck, but that was what I had to work with. You can tell that these are attached to the torso still, like they're not separated. It's Giga Curse. Some of these are gonna be cursed, but like that's by design. Can I hold the arms? There are no arms! He's adorable. It was a necessary evil. You actually did the axolotl salamander thing, so they morph. They do morph, yeah, they can become Quagsire. So yeah, part of the reason why they don't have any clothing is because they can't really dress themselves. So they just dress themselves with what they find in nature. This is one of those Pokemon that like to wild it out. The Musu themselves are almost always in some body of water. If you take them out, they coat their skin in like mucus that can be toxic. So for clothing, since they can't really touch other people, they dress themselves with vines and flowers, very simple stuff. They almost always have some mud on them. And the main thing about Whooper is that like they almost always look super startled. They look super fucking dopey. And the biggest design element and my biggest challenge was no arms. People could have been like, why won't you cross them? Why don't you tie them behind your back? You can't hold that pose for the entirety of your life. If the fucking posing can ruin the silhouette when they break pose, then I didn't do my job right. Making it match via posing, I consider it cheating. You have to take their biology into account. And Whooper has the unique biology of no arms. That's kind of cursed. We need more monster girls like that.
How do they defend from being taken advantage of?
Very simple. If you take a Whooper out of water, their skin becomes toxic. And that's also what Quagsires are for. Like, usually you will not find a community of Whooper, thank you for the super chat, without a Quagsire nearby. Speaking of which, let's look at them! Also, Water Gun. It's not very powerful, but yes. The boy. Quagsires are the cutest fucking thing on the planet. There's nothing in there. That head is empty. But fuck look nothing, chat. It's so cute, but it has arms. It becomes a salamander. It has arms, and it can do a ton of shit with those arms, like actually tie their shoelaces. The biggest design challenge with Quagsire was like the gigantic mouth and like maintaining that very dopey vibe. So this is what I did. Ta-da! So my Quagsire, they're a little on the dopey side. They're not the smartest Musu in the bunch, but they can get shit done, right? Another one of the aquatic types that I didn't really want to super dress them, so I gave them a swimsuit with like a really cute obi and some nice purple details.
Plus 2 arms, minus 1 brain.
Yeah, exactly. They gained arms, but they lost the brain. I also did like a lot of mud type accessories on them because that's kind of like their thing. These are also very thicky. They're very, very like rotund, right? It still has a really, really big mouth. And I want to kind of like keep that like very slicked back silhouette. So I made their hair very flat and close to their heads. I really genuinely like the body type I got for these because they're supposed to be like pretty rotund. Just a swimsuit. A very easy to draw outfit, honestly. Big obi, one little ornament. Their main job is protecting Whooper. That's it. They don't do much of anything else. Like, these are also in the firm I'm hanging out equation of the decks. So design-wise, I tried to keep it pretty simple because they're very simple creatures as well. Again, the vibe has to be there. And if the vibe of Quagsire is I'm just hanging out, then that's what we do. That's what we do. Literally a mommy. Super squishy, super soft, very friend-shaped. Lovable derpy, just like Quagsire. Yeah, they're not the smartest fucking cookie in the jar, but they're very sweet. Will there be more male counterparts to all of these or never? Never. This is a Monster Girl design project. There are some Musu that have male counterparts. Like the Nido Queen and Nido King line. But for the most part, unless there isn't like an identical male counterpart, I make them all female. I don't care about the games saying that a Pokemon is all male. For me, the design exercise is Monster Girl. Probably jump scare. Yeah, he's helping me out here. How are you gonna handle regional forms like Paldean, Whooper, Alolan, Bullfix, Ninetales? We will cross that bridge when we come to it, but I am considering not making them. Just for sake of finishing the decks first. Maybe after the fact, we can have a special video with regional forms, but for now, my main concern is the decks, the main decks. Latia and Latios will definitely be sisters. No, Latios will be male. All right. We're getting into the big meat! It's time for some Eevees, bitch. We start with Espeon. I like this thing because it's supremely cat-coded. Eevee's very funny because Eevee's kind of like cat-dog-coded, but Espeon is aggressively cat-coded, like super feline. Main thing to note is super purple, super cute, stone on its forehead, evolves during the day. So, knowing that and how aggressively cat-coded it is, let me show you guys what I did. These are some of the most popular Musus in this gen by far. And I think I know why. Because look at her. So, Espeon is like, almost, you could say, like a disciple of the sun. This is a psychic type, which is funny because it uses like a lot of light for things. Yeah, like, triangle it out. You guys, you have my blessing. Triangle it out. Gay out. While I talk about this design. So for Espeon, I wanted no dark colors anywhere. It had to be light, and it had to be bright, and it had to be like almost like we're dressing almost like a goddess, but not quite. These aren't like the Eevees in Kanto that I gave them like academy uniforms because these are new. So they kind of like do their own thing. So Espeon in particular, they just really like, they do like magic. And they study magic, but not in the same way. Their whole thing is that they just like to hang out. They like hang out with humans. They evolve through Ardent Shift during the day. And the outfit is more like a bit of a fancier deconstructed kimono. I made it backless. I mainly want to give it like sun patterns everywhere. It's very weird that there is no light typing in Pokemon, but we can ignore that. I wanted to mainly use the sun symbolism because that's how they evolve in game. And I added some cool details like some wispy bits on the kimono that I made purple to match their hair and tail. And everything else was very warm toned. So I did warm yellows, soft whites, red accents to match the stone on their chest. The Eevees were super fun to do in this gen. They're usually very nice, but like they had very solid concepts, so they gave me a lot to work with. When I have a strong concept for writing, I usually have a strong concept for design as well. That's why I struggle with the ones that are just hanging out. But for Espeon, the fun fact was just using that like sun motif everywhere. Let's move on to Umbreon, shall we? Umbreon is like the opposite of Espeon. These evolved during the nights. I like these because these are canine coded. I love the color scheme for this. Like, they're so fucking cute and so soft.
Ah, hello. You don't look hollow. Far from it.
Hi, thanks so much for the super chat. Yeah, Umbreon is like the dark type of this gen, I think, or like when we introduced it. I really, really love the patterns on this thing, and I like how like fucking stoic it looks. It's giving batman.com.org. Let me show you guys what I did with the Musu, because it's another one of my favorite designs for this gen. I made a dark assassin. So the thing with Umbreon, right, is that they're not easy to find. They're very, very rare. And their whole thing is that they're vigilantes. So with that in mind, I decided to design something that was very rebellious. So not a kimono.
Not afraid to say I want Umbreon to break me. Go ahead and use Bite on me, madam.
Baby. Not a kimono. No, I decided to go against tan. Let me tell you why I did not make a tan skin. It would have washed her out. Since her hair is already so dark, if I had given her tan skin, it would not have popped nearly that hard. I heavily considered it. When I was doing color testing for the Musu, I considered darker skin, but unfortunately, it washed out the contrast with the fur, and it did not really look that nice. But for the outfit, I went with something more rebellious. No kimono, I went with a bodysuit. The only like heavily Japanese concession I made, I also destroyed her makeup, fun fact, goth girlfriend. The only Japanese concession I made for this one was the hat. The Wanderer's hat with like dangling bits and bops, which is very, very cool.
Umbreon's hat makes it the coolest design of any of the Musu in either gen, bar none.
Thank you, Midnight, and thank you for the sub. The fucking hat was my favorite thing out of this entire design. The bodysuit is really cool. I used her patterns for the whole thing.
Team Rocket is not the law here. I am the law.
Oh yeah, these are high threat because if you see one, it's very likely that you've been targeted for murder. Just like fucking mesh bodysuit. The fur patterns go very high up, but I still wanted to give her like thigh-high boots as well. She actually has paws too. And I made her sleeves basically shaped like her ears, but with red lining to kind of like go with the very, very bright red eye color. The actual fur is green tinged because again, I didn't want to work with straight black. I don't think it would have looked as nice. But the main thing is to kind of like capture that assassin aesthetic, and I think it's pretty good.
Too. I can't say how excited I am to see the rest of the evolutions later on down the line.
I'm excited that hopefully we can make it that far down, because I don't think there's other evolutions until like what, Gen 4? Anyway, yeah. So that's Umbreon's vibe, is like the vigilante assassin. The hat is like my favorite thing out of this entire thing, but the coat and bodysuit are also like a great combo. This is one of the ones where I went way sexier, but I think it's because it really fit the vibe. It's supposed to be edgy and dangerous, and I think that a part of it is like being a bit more risque. Murkrow, when I tell you guys that this thing was a bitch to design, I'm not joking.
You sneaky pink thing. That circle on the crotch super draws your eye in.
That was on purpose. Again, character design! Design with a purpose, chat! Thank you for the sub, Abunai. That's so sweet. But yeah, Murkrow was a bit of a cunt to design. Because the hat, right? The hat is feathers. So I had a few options. And like, for me, circumventing design with clothing, cheating, not allowed. So I had to actually make this a part of her anatomy. It was fairly tricky. Let me show you guys. Just slapping a hat in there is not allowed. Bad design. It's supposed to be Western Witch. Yes, but I have an aesthetic to stick to. When I choose the aesthetic for a region, I stick to it, chat. Those are the rules. It's a character design exercise. That's why there's so many kimonos. If I cannot work around the limitations that I set for myself at the start of the gen, I'm not doing my job right. You won't become a good character designer by just bending the rules whenever you want. Adam thanks so much for the subs. Let me show you guys the actual Musu. Murkrow was tricky, but I managed to get the feathers on her hair in a shape that does resemble a hat. She has one of the weirdest faces of all the Musus, because I actually gave her a very hooked nose, because beak. I can't give them actual beaks, because they look weird. So I gave her a very hooked nose instead. I think that worked out pretty well. She has a very sharp face, almost witchy, right? So she's not conventionally attractive, but I'm actually super obsessed with that. Another completely deconstructed kimono. The most fun part of this outfit is probably the hood. It's gigantic. They use them to trick people because Murkrow's thing is that they're thieves. They steal shiny things. They're corvids, right? Like, birds like shiny things, and they actually will steal them from people. Also gave her, like, a lot of dangly things that would look cool in midair, like bandages. But yeah, you can see that the feathers are actually a part of her hair. And they just go down on the wings as well. Another harpy. None of these have arms. I'm marrying this one. So yeah, Murkrow was a lot of fun. And like, no undies. A lot of these don't actually like to wear underwear. And again, hood is the main thing that they used to hide that very iconic hat shape when they go steal shinies. I wanted them to look kind of off-putting in a way. And the main thing is I need them to be super, like, weird.
She looks like she'd run a fortune-telling scam.
Yeah, they would. They will do anything to get something shiny, chat, they will do. The color scheme for this one was particularly fun. I want to keep it dark and broody, but then I noticed their red eyes and that little red accent on the tail, and I was like, oh, I have to make this outfit blood red. It cannot be any other color. And it actually turned out really, really well in my favor because there is a green tinge to the feathers, which contrasts with that shade of red so nicely. But I still wanted to let green have the upper hand. It's super, super important if you're working with two very, very bold colors to let one of them be more dominant than the other. Which Tengu? Almost, yes. Anything to get that bag? Yep. Slowking! Oh, yes. Purveyor of intelligence. Wisdom. This one also uses the King's Rock, by the way. You don't see it on, like, the actual Slowking, but I did put it into the design just because I thought it would look much nicer. Let me show you guys the Musu. Slowking is pink, more pink things, because obviously every gen has at least 2 or 3 pink things. I'm so happy. Slowking was another one of those Musu where I went with an outfit that could be Japanese, but it also has silhouettes from other Oriental regions, right? So there's some hints of China in here as well. Sometimes I have to make concessions to other cultures when I'm working on a region because I need different silhouettes. I can't just rock kimonos the whole time. So the cool thing about Slowking is the shell, right? That's attached to their head. You guys will notice that I actually put the King's Rock on the shoulder. It's right here. And the shelter, normally, it's facing away from the face. Like, it has eyes. But considering shelters are also Musus in this verse, this actually worked out in my favor. They still look super dopey, mind you. And that collar thing is actually attached to their neck. I used the patterns on the obi on the back. I gave them really tall shoes, a lot of gold ornamentation, and very much, like, fancy shell-like patterns. Also fat bags, yes, very fat bags, and a lot more hair than a slow-mo and a slowbro, because these are, like, very regal. They are considered widely to be some of the wisest people in the region. They run libraries, museums, and in general, people seek them out to gain knowledge. I really, really like the red on the stone on the shoulder and on the neck piece, so I wanted the actual outfit to be red as well, because it's such a striking color, and red is normally reserved for nobility. So I kept that for Slowking. All in all, it was a very fun design to put together. I actually had to concept art the hair like twice because I couldn't quite get the shape that I wanted, but I really liked what I did with it because the hairstyle is just kind of loops around and envelops that shoulder and just makes it really feel like it's a part of her, you know? The eyes and gaze. Oh yeah, the dopey expression never goes away. I couldn't get rid of that. Again, one of those things that I could not change. The vibe has to be there, and a lot of it is in facial expression. Stop staring at me with them big ol' eyes. No! Are Slowpoke tails poached too? Yes. Then we move on to the only ghost type in this gen, and I'm so fucking mad because Japanese fucking mythology and ghosties are fucking fascinating, but they only gave me one to work with. But I think I made some really solid shit. So with my one ghost type, I made this. This is my Misdreavus, right? So Misdreavus are funny because they're ghosts, but they can actually retreat into the red pearl on their neck. So the red pearls, the blood pearls, had to be a huge part of the design for this one. I didn't really want to give them clothes because I want to kind of like capture that spirit vibe. And if you guys notice closely, they don't have arms. Those arm-like appendages, it's actually the hair. So to make it like a really cool Japanese ghost, I did a lot of like those like strips of parchment that they used to seal spirits, but I broke all of them. So it kind of like it looks like a ghost that like escaped containment. The red pearls are probably the standout of this design, although the only one that is Misdreavus is that one big one at her neck. The other pearls, if you break them, nothing happens. They're decoration. I didn't want to do a lot of clothes for this one, mainly because it has such an interesting shape. I thought it would be a waste to do it. And it almost already looks like they're wearing a dress. So I want them to have like a very specific, almost Tim Burton type of eyes. You could see them more in the concept art because she's looking up in this, but she has very, very heavy dark circles and eyebrows, very heavy lidded, right? And for the one ghost type, I really do wish there had been more. It was a pretty fun one to work with because of the limitations of no arms. Unlike Whooper, I could actually overcome them pretty easily with this, with the hair. Tag her tits. They are tagged. 10 out of 10 will let her noroi me. You don't want that. The Dropbox will be updated as soon as both videos are out publicly. Not the streams, the videos. But yeah, the Misdreavus, only ghost type in this gen. Very, very sad because it has fascinating lore. I wish there was more. But I'm fine with that because I got to make something really, really cool out of it with a pretty simple concept and a pretty cool execution. And the last Musu in this video, in this stream, is unknown. When I tell you guys that people were concerned for my sanity with this one, everybody, when they heard I was making Gen 2, they were all like, oh god, no, it has like 25 forms, what the fuck are you gonna do? Funnily enough, I solved that question 6 months in advance. And I made this! I made a tentacled creature. So, Unown presented a bunch of specific design challenges, right? You would think the main one would be, how the fuck do they become letters? No, I actually solved that one pretty quickly. The actual challenge was the eye! The fucking eye! And you know what the worst part is? It took me a fucking day to figure out the skull anatomy, to draw a Cyclops girl that did not look like complete butt vom, and then in the end I covered it! I covered it, chat. I covered the eye because I wanted to do like a fucking Shikigami vibe. And I still had to design the skull. Bro covered it, idiot. In anime, a lot of Cyclops just look flat because they don't make space for the nose, but I didn't want to have that problem. Keep in mind, I was still making the lewds back then, so the main reason why I actually gave it a giant fuck-all eyeball, chat, was because of the lewd, right? Do we have concept art without the sheet? We do. I can also crop out the lewd to show you guys how I made their face. Surgery. Would these expressions be safe for Twitch? No. All right, concept art it is! You did a great job otherwise, Lily. Thank you. But yeah, the cool thing with this design is that the tentacles on their back, they have 4 tentacles on their back, and they use those to make letters. They don't speak. They communicate kind of like telepathically, and they also spell shit out, sometimes super, super fast. This one is an E, fun fact, because Wave had, when I played through Gen 2, Wave got the Unown and just named it E. So it was an E Unown, so this is for Wave. This one's for Wave specifically. And when it came to like dressing them, I wanted the really big obi, but I wanted like Shikigami vibes because they're messengers, right? In lore, when we wrote it down, Arceus made these. And they just live in a different dimension, but they pop in to say hi every so often. And the tricky thing about them was the eye that I ended up covering like a fucking asshole. But I want to show you guys how I actually made it because I'm very, very proud of how I worked through the skull anatomy to do this. To this day, if I ever need to work with a Cyclops, I go back to the concept art for Unown because I actually managed to suss it out. E for A, baby! Yeah, they're kind of eldritch, actually, yeah.
I love how the flowiness of the tentacles makes them look like a calligrapher's brush strokes.
Yeah, that was also intentional. There was I was looking at a lot of Japanese calligraphy when I was designing these because I was like, I need them to look inky and weird. And this is the concept art for Unown, right? So you'll notice right away that I planned out the eye in a way that would still give the skull volume, that still looks like there's an eye socket, but it wasn't easy. Like, this took me like 6 hours to figure out. And you guys can also see how their tentacles work normally. That they come out of their back. But yeah, the main issue with Unown is the fact that like their eye would have made their face look really, really flat if I hadn't actually sussed it out. So where's Unown Enye? No existe! It's so cursed, but it's also so awesome. It turned out really good, and I actually solved the problem of the letters way in advance. I just did not think about the singular I thing. Like an idiot. The cycle about is so freaking cool. Why'd you have to cover it? Because of the vibe I wanted. I wanted messengers that didn't really say anything. So them not showing their faces was kind of like part of the vibe. They look more mystical and off-putting if you can't actually see their face. That was completely intentional on my end because I needed them to be mystic.
Eldritch Psychopomps.
They kind of are, yeah. And, again, unique design challenges, but I think I overcame them all really well. I also needed the outfit to be completely monochrome because these Pokemon have no color. So I had to be all white, black and white. Monochrome color scheme still got the job done. And that way it resembles paper, so it looks really cool too. And with that, at 2 hours and 32 minutes, we managed to go through 50 fucking Pokemon of Gen 2. I am incredibly pleased with myself because I thought we were going to do 30. We've done really, really well, chat. And just in case this ends up being 2 videos instead of just 1, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me which Musu you liked the best. Did you guys think I did a good job recreating this? Did you not? Tell me in the comments. I do pride myself on putting a lot of fucking oomph into this one. And also, did not skip Gen 1 if you made it to the end of the video. Gen 1 will come later because I need to redraw some shit, but I'm actively working on it now that Gen 2 is done. The next 50 are already done, so they're gonna come soon. We're probably gonna do this next Sunday because I have to actually finish setting up the other 50 in the same document. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Go grab some gamer subs using code KinkyMation if you like the project and if you want to see me do more. Do support me and support the channel because this is the only fucking project that I make completely fun for free, fun fact. So the support helps immensely. Yeah, I'm gonna go finish this Bowberry. Yeah, love you, YouTube. Enjoy. Okay, I think we still have some time on stream. We have like a few minutes, like 10 minutes. I can catch my breath. So I want to hear what you guys thought now that I can look at chat a little bit with a bit more chill. Did you guys like it so far? Next stream is probably going to be next Sunday. Do mooses use mascara or is that their natural hair color on the eyes? Some of them have makeup. Yes, lovely. You guys have no idea how much it means to me that like so many of you guys came out to watch me yap about this project because this has been literal years off my life. Have you chosen a design theme for Hoenn yet? Yes, I have. Yeah. I haven't. I'm not going to jump into Hoenn right away because I really want to get the video for Gen 1 done before anything else. So now that Gen 2 is completely finished and the video is pretty much being put together, I can put the bulk of my assigned weekday for Pokemusu into redoing the sprites that I'm missing. These were so cool. I love listening to you discuss character design. Yeah, this is part of the reason why I'm so confident when I talk about character design shit, because I do have experience. I do have a lot of experience with this. Is it professional experience? Technically, no. I'm not making these for any company or anything like that. I'm making them mostly for myself. But experience is a wealth of knowledge that kind of teaches you everything. If you see how I started designing, like if you see the OG Gen 1 sprites, compared to like the redos, I added design. I added a lot of shit because it was missing. Did I join right after the end? Yes! Don't worry, the VOD will be up. Oh shit!
Love all the designs. Great work. Can't wait to see the next gens.
Oh, thank you, Kronos. That's incredibly generous. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow, thank you. I'm kind of overwhelmed. That's very, very sweet. Gen 3 is going to take a while, but I'm already planning it. Don't worry.
Absolutely fantastic work, Lily. Stand proud for you have cooked.
Thank you, Lord. Thanks so much for the super chat. You know what? I think for Gen 3, I'm gonna have to take them 50 by 50 because I want to make the videos. So that way, instead of having one video every 2 years, you can get one every year.
The was the very first piece of your art I ever found, and I love how you are so heavily invested in world building. In addition to making the girls all look amazing, it's one hell of a project you are getting through.
Thank you. Yeah, like, we're doing a lot of work for this. I'm still gonna try and keep adding lore, even if the videos don't have a lot of it.
Fun fact. Undertale just had a 10th anniversary stream where they just randomly showed a brand new area for the game in complete silence. No one knows what it is or why.
Oh, Toby. Dear God, Toby. Thank you very much for the bits. Yeah. So yeah, I do actually make this project for free. Yeah, this one I didn't want to monetize it for a bunch of reasons. First of all, it's mainly a character design exercise for fun. Second of all, it's not safe for work, and the bulk of work that I actually do sell is explicit. Third, Nintendo ninjas. But yeah, I think I'm gonna approach them in 50 by 50. This is gonna be like my, like those YouTubers that like drop like their one big video a year. This is gonna be mine, even though I'm gonna be making content constantly anyway. So that way, if I make 50 a year, I can at least give you guys one Musu video a year. This year, you guys might get 2 because of Gen 1. And I'm also making a format for a Smasher Pass that I can actually invite other streamers into. So, like, I already have a few guests lined up to do Gen 2 that are they're very excited about it. And I will do the same with Gen 1. I'm actually going to try and put as much oomph into the sprites as I possibly can so I can give you guys 2 Pokemusu videos in 1 year. But after that, the goal will be to hit 1 a year. With 50, and then once the gen is done, we will stitch it together and make 1 big video for the Smasher and Pass.
I know you said you want to do many more lewds for the Musu. I'm still hoping you'll do the occasional Musu lewd, even if you want to do a lewd for every Musu. Or maybe make the lewds Patty exclusive.
Thank you for the bits. I don't want to make the lewds Patreon exclusive because I've never monetized them. The main reason I'm not doing lewds anymore is because of time. Maybe after the gen is done, I'll consider making some, but the main issue with the Pokemusu project is that for the amount of work that I had to put into it, I didn't see a ton of return on it because, again, it was getting in the way of my actual work that I need to do to pay my bills. And rather than canceling the project outright, I decided to scrap the lewd bit because at the end of the day, this is a character design exercise. The project was never meant to be not safe for work at all. I added the lewds to get more eyes on the project, but now that I have a bigger presence as both an artist and as a streamer, they're not necessary anymore. They would just be something I would do for fun.
You should invite Noble from the Lost Paws, aka Eevee Overlord 9 billion.
Like, if anybody wants to play Smash or Pass with me and ask me questions about these, because, like, I made the project, so I know I know all the lore and everything, like, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much for the super chat. I can't wait to see what you do with Gen 5. Gen 5 is going to be 3 years worth of videos, I think, because there's so many of them. Rip OG, lose will we miss. I might make some from time to time where I can make comics with them because now we have that option. But yeah, like the outright lewds for every single Musu are sadly no longer feasible. I don't have time. I'm not here for the horny, I just got here to take notes on character design. Suffice to say I have a binder's worth info. Thanks, you're welcome. And this is only Gen 2. Oh, Dizzy said she was down, yeah. I feel like the not safe for work bit can be something you do on your own time. I actually like the own character design a bit more. The character design was the original purpose of the project. Like, that's why whenever people were saying stuff like, put a dildo on it, I was always like, no. Because the point of the fucking thing is to design monster girls, is design characters, safe for work. This is supposed to be something that I can work with in many other formats. That's why I want to try this video. And hopefully it performs well, and that way I can just, like, fucking put all of my energy, extra energy that I have into, like, keeping the gen going. I don't want to stop the Pokemusu project, because it is generally something that keeps me on my toes when it comes to character designs. And if I have a very, very good reason to do it, which is a lot of people want to see it, that motivates me more. You're doing actual proper monster girls at that. Yeah, I'm not doing girl in a hoodie. I didn't want to.
Wait, you're planning to play Undertale, and new stuff shows up. It keeps happening.
I am God! I'm gonna kill everyone, but I am God! Will the Hoenn Musu Dex entries still have the high comparison with the human pro tag? I don't know. Like, the actual Dex entries have a little chibi version of the Musu. I might still make those, because I kind of maybe want to make stickers someday. Or, like, a big poster with all of them. But it is a lot more work, so I have to see how I'm going to format the videos going forward. I do still design a trainer, because I do like having them around for other things. So I will have to make one for Gen 3 eventually. But right now, my main focus is to finish those sprites that are overdue for Gen 1, so the Gen 1 can have a video as well. Please play Golden Sun so we can get a new one. Blech. Are you planning to release the concept art for the public or just keeping it to Discord? I'm not releasing the concept art. I don't like to post sketches. If I had, like, a dedicated, like, fucking, like... If someone actually came up to me and wanting to, like, do something like make an official wiki, but, like, actually come up to me and talk to me about it, don't just, like, make it without me, I would be more than willing to give the concept art to that person. But it would have to be a project that I would have to supervise. Because otherwise, I would just rather that they stay in the Discord server. I don't like posting sketches. You at least release the notes on the concept art. They had some cool insights. Not all of them have notes. Since I send most of that lore to Wilson regardless, and I have to, like, retype it, I haven't been doing notes lately. A lot of the changes I've made with Pokemusu have been so I can actually have time to make the project, believe it or not. Bring out as the artist, rather don't bring out the sketches. It's basically like our fingerprints. Yeah, I'd rather not use them because they're not polished or finished, you know? I don't sketch to post. I sketch to line properly and color, so my sketches kind of look like butt. The TF2 references go hard. The references are all Wilson, by the way. The main bulk of what I do is I give Wilson, like, bullet points of what I want to do with the writing, and he puts the dex entry together. You can keep making Musus, but I have to cut. Yeah, eventually I was gonna have to cut back. Because, like, making one comic a week now is more work, and, I still have a lot of other stuff to do and more OC projects. And, like, while I love Pokemusu, in order to keep making the projects, I had to make some cutbacks. Because it used to be, like, 2 to 3 days out of my week, chat. It can't be that much. Will the unknown concept be added to the Discord? I believe the Discord only goes up to the Sunkern for concepts. I will probably be adding more as we go, but once the videos are up. Lore question, how do parties function in this world? So, I do consider the Musuverse to be a place where polyamory is a thing. But the most that people can usually handle being in relationship with some exceptions like Ecans that cannot handle you being with another partner, is 6, right? So instead of capturing Mons, you basically have relationships with them, and the ones that really, really love you and want to be with you forever, they form your party. So you can have a team, but it's not a team that you own and command like pets. It's a group of fucking Musus that align with you, have similar views to you, love you, and also like each other, and they basically travel with you. 6-person polygamy, basically. That's the most. Some people are perfectly happy with just one Musu as a partner. Some people do 2, especially with Musu that are more comfortable in groups. Like Sentret, fun fact, they very, very rarely pair up with just one person. There's another Sentret in there almost always. Up to 6 wives. Yeah. Is there a canonical reason they're all women? Yes, I'm very glad you asked. I'm actually surprised it didn't come up sooner. So the reason that they're all women is like, every Pokemusu ever is a descendant of Muse, right? This includes humans. Humans in the Musuverse are also Pokemusu. They're just different. That's why professors can take a ton of fucking tank damage. That's why the fucking trainer from both Gen 1 and 2 can fuck dangerous Musu and be fine. Like, they're very tanky. So everything evolves from Musus. It's just that since Hawa is female, since Mew is female, most of the adaptability for the cells ended up staying female. However, there were some mutations that came with humans, and with human, there came men. There are human women, but there's less human women than human men. So most human men end up with Musu. So if a Pokemusu has a child, and that child is female, it's almost always going to be a Musu, and if that child is male, it is a human. It's basically because they're all descended from the same creature. Inherited tankiness, yes. You make Oak eating shit and staying alive canon. I did! So they're cut from the same genetic cloth? Yes, except over time, they lost that genetic adaptability to shapeshift into anything the same way that Mew does, and they all had like specific things that they adapted to better, like evolution. So humans, while they can still do magic and stuff, they don't have as many superhuman qualities as specific Musu, but they're still technically Musu. Imagine telling that to your son that his mother is a spider. Yeah. The only exceptions are like the Nidorans and stuff. Yeah, there are some weird mutations here and there, but most of the men are human. So evolution, but the answer is still around. Yeah, like Mew's still around. Do human men who have Musu mothers gain affinity for certain things? They do. Yeah, they do. So, for example, if your mom is a Raichu and you were born a guy, you will have more affinity for electric magic than most other people. The abilities don't transfer fully. You don't become a monster boy, but you do have stronger affinity for certain things depending on what your mother is. Does it work the same for the male Musu, like the Nidoking line? Nidoking almost always... It's really funny, actually, now that you mention it. I hadn't thought about it. Nidoking almost never mate with humans. So there's no records of it because most Nidokings actually have, like, Nidoqueen partners. Would the player pick a heritage? I guess that the main character would almost always be human. The more I hear of this, the more I want to throw money on RPG for us. I'm glad to hear it. Sadly, I don't have the time to develop one myself. What happens if they keep pairing up with the same Musu over generations? You will just have, like, a generation of human males that are very high adept to, like, specific things, I think. What happens if your mom is a Sunkern? If you are a female, you were born a Sunkern. If you are a male, you were born a human who is just a normal person with no skills. It is possible for Nidoking to breed with human women, yes? Yeah, technically speaking, yes, it is. And with that, things, I think I gotta go, because I have to set up for tomorrow. But thank you very much for joining me for this. It genuinely means the world to me that you guys like this project so much. And hopefully we can have the other stream on Sunday, and then we can get to work making a fat video for you guys, all right? Have a wonderful evening. Go drink some water. And enjoy the very last bit of your Sunday before Monday comes calling for us again. And remember, I love you. See you guys soon. Bye.